hard-hitting. It's riveting. It's the much-talked-about cover story during Nationwide at 5. Hear Cliff Hughes get to the heart of the story of the day. Cover Story, aired 5:30 weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Nationwide at 5. Talk radio at its best. Cover Story.
Starting a renovation project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for all your essentials at our 10 stores island-wide. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Robian Williams.
And I'm Nora Gay Banter.
In Nationwide News at this hour, Parliament may reconvene next week to address the Integrity Commission's report concerning Prime Minister Andrew Holness's statutory declarations.
The report, which includes its indicative ruling, was submitted for tabling by the Integrity Commission yesterday.
International human rights group concerned about Jamaica's continued use of states of public emergency as a crime control tool.
OUR conducts validation checks on JPS's post-burial restoration works.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness says helping the poor is one of the most important steps in his administration's goal of increasing economic growth.
In news from the rest of the world, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken visits Dominican Republic as talks with President focus on economy and Haiti's crisis.
Anxious wait for parents after deadly Kenya school fire.
In headline sports, a new era in Jamaica's football begins in 2 hours with Nations League action at the National Stadium.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, Works Minister Robert Morgan will join us with an update of repairs to sections of the Harbour View to Yallah's Leg of the Southern Coastal Improvement Project damaged by the passage of Hurricane Beryl.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, who makes the best donuts in Jamaica? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio. Message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
All these and more as we take you home on air, on your mobile, Nationwide 90FM and Nationwide RadioJM.com, and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. This Friday afternoon, Friday, September 6, 2024.
News at 5 is brought to you by Fostrich Company Limited, fostering rich customer service.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. Nationwide News understands that Parliament may be recalled earlier than scheduled to address the Integrity Commission's report concerning Prime Minister Andrew Holness's statutory declarations. The report, which includes its indicative ruling, was submitted for tabling by the Integrity Commission on Thursday. This report is expected to bring closure to the long-standing issue surrounding the Prime Minister's statutory declarations, which have remained uncertified for nearly 3 years. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
The Parliament, originally slated to resume its sessions on September 17, might reconvene earlier than planned. Nationwide News has learned that the Government Caucus is considering bringing Gordon House back into session on Tuesday, September 10, in response to new reports from the Integrity Commission. The early recall of Parliament highlights the significance of the report and its potential impact on resolving the ongoing questions related to Holness's declarations. These reports include a report of investigation, an associated indicative ruling, and a full ruling from the Director of Corruption Prosecution. It's understood all pertain to Prime Minister Andrew Holness's statutory declarations. Additionally, a special report has been submitted to Parliament, a move enabled by Section 36.3 of the Integrity Commission Act. Section 36.3 allows the Integrity Commission to present a report on matters requiring special parliamentary attention. Copies of the documents have been dispatched to Speaker of the House Juliet Holness, Senate President Tom Tavares Finson, and Clerk to the Houses of Parliament Colleen Lowe. In an unusual step, the documents were also sent to Deputy Speaker of the House Heroy Clark. It's a precedent set previously only in the case of former House Speaker Marissa Dalrymple Filbert. In September 2023, Dalrymple Filbert faced charges for making false statements related to a vehicle purchased in 2015 that were omitted from her statutory declarations for 2015 to 2021. It's understood the inclusion of Deputy Speaker Clark in this instance was a precautionary measure to avoid any potential conflict of interest given the subject of the report. Efforts to reach Leader of Government Business in the House of Representatives Edmund Bartlett for comment on the potential schedule change were unsuccessful. Mr. Bartlett is expected to inform parliamentary staff and fellow legislators of any official changes regarding the sittings of the lower house. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
The Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, IACHR, has raised concerns over Jamaica's continued use of states of public emergency, SOEs, as a crime control mechanism. The concern was raised in the Commission's annual report released on Thursday. It's urging the country to ensure such measures comply with international human rights standards. Norgay Banton tells us more.
On August 14, 2024, the Jamaican government declared an SOE for the parish of Clarendon. That followed a mass shooting that left 8 people dead and 9 injured. The IACHR says under the SOE, the government grants security forces additional powers, including conducting warrantless searches, arrests, and detentions, which are typically constrained under normal circumstances. The IACHR noted that the suspension of certain guarantees is permissible under extraordinary conditions such as war or a significant threat to state security as outlined in Article 27 of the American Convention on Human Rights. However, it says the implementation of such measures must meet standards of reasonableness, necessity, and proportionality. The Commission emphasizes that judicial guarantees must be upheld even during emergencies. In its annual report, the IACHR repeatedly expressed concern over Jamaica's frequent use of SOEs, stressing that these measures should be exceptional, short-term, and carefully monitored. The Commission is warning that relying on SOEs as a permanent security strategy runs counter to Jamaica's obligations under international law. The IACHR urged the Jamaican government to address the root causes of crime through a comprehensive approach that includes prevention, law enforcement, and community engagement while respecting human rights. The Commission also advocated for citizen involvement in shaping and overseeing public security policies. Meanwhile, the IACHR reaffirmed its commitment to supporting Jamaica in promoting citizen security in line with international human rights obligations. As an autonomous body of the Organization of American States, OAS, the IACHR promotes and defends human rights in the Americas. It acts independently of the countries represented and is composed of 7 members elected by the OAS. Norgay Banton for Nationwide News. The Office of Utilities Regulation, OUR, is reporting that its technical team has observed the full restoration and re-energizing of all Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS, primary and secondary distribution circuits affected by Hurricane Beryl. In a statement on Friday, OUR says it has been carrying out validation checks on JPS's efforts to restore its transmission and distribution infrastructure and reconnect electricity to customers in St. Elizabeth and Manchester. This follows JPS's announced completion of its post-Hurricane Beryl restoration efforts last weekend. Robian Williams reports.
OUR says JPS reported in its last Hurricane Beryl restoration schedule on August 29 that power supply had been restored to all but 3 customers. Of the 3 unrestored customers, 2 accounts relate to water pumps. One at the National Irrigation Commission in St. Elizabeth, another privately owned pump in Portland, and 1 customer in St. Thomas. In terms of supply to customers, OUR says there are some premises where power supply has not been restored due to customers' electrical installations not being in place to accommodate service connections. According to OUR, its technical team observations were consistent with the reports from JPS about issues on the customer's side of the connection point that were preventing full restoration of electricity. The regulator says its team discovered that some circuits, including structures, were restored based on a rapid repair approach. As a result of this, the problematic issues of leaning pole structures and excessive sagging of conductors that existed before and after Hurricane Beryl continue to exist. The OUR points out that this has implications for the network's structural integrity and resilience. The agency says it will continue to monitor JPS's plan to revisit and reinforce those installations. Additionally, the OUR says it has taken note of issues such as streetlights in some areas that are still to be reconnected and a significant number of illegal connections by way of throw-ups. According to the regulator, these matters are being brought to JPS's attention for action. Meanwhile, OUR's Director General Ansel Hewitt has commended the JPS line staff for their efforts in the risky restoration tasks they undertook. Robeanne Williams for Nationwide News.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness says helping the poor is one of the most important steps in his administration's goal of increasing economic growth. The Prime Minister was speaking on Friday during a new social housing program ceremony in Callaloo Meadows in Western St. Andrew. He says sustaining economic growth serves as a weak point that the government is still trying to get on top of.
The housing ministry, under which this program falls, is in a wider ministry. It's called the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. The ministry has been fairly successful, particularly successful in the creation of jobs. We have moved from double-digit unemployment, 12 and 13%, to now down to 4 and 5% unemployment. Where we haven't done so well on, but still better than we have done in the past, is in the sustainability of growth. So we are growing at 1 or 2, 3%, but that's not the level of growth that we really want to get. As Tony would agree, we now need to start to accelerate growth.
The Prime Minister also hailed his administration for stabilizing the economy, but he says putting measures in place to lift lower-income households will help accomplish the second phase of his administration's goals.
The objective of the government is to increase the momentum and pace of growth, but there are many, many factors which affect growth. Now, as the government transitions from an laser focus on stability, and we are now transitioning into increasing the momentum and acceleration of growth, we cannot leave people behind. And so a part of the government strategy as we go for growth is to make sure that those who are at the lowest echelon of the society, those people who are considered by objective measure as being absolutely poor, we are going to try and lift them as much as possible.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Holness says there are currently 61 housing solutions that are either ready to be handed over or are under construction under the new social housing program.
We have handed over to date 251 units. This is the 251st unit. We have 2 more units to hand over today. We have several more units that are ready for handover, but we just haven't handed them over as yet. In total, we have 61 units that are ready to hand over or under construction. So the program has passed the 300 unit mark. Now, 300 units to 6,000 is a long way to go. But here's what we have achieved. This is what the public needs to understand. We have achieved a sustainable program. And now we have started to accelerate. We've started to move faster.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness. The Prime Minister was speaking during a handover ceremony for the new social housing program in Callaloo Meadows, St. Andrew, on Friday. You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
Value Drug Pharmacy offers curbside pickup and delivery of your branded and generic drugs. WhatsApp your prescription to 876-881-6695. The time by Value Drug Pharmacy is
5:14.
Rentokil Initial is the expert in pest control, air purification, and hygiene services. Call today 876-926-4236.
The temperature by Rentokil is...
It's 32 degrees Celsius in capital city Kingston, 31 out west in Montego Bay.
Are you burning up with this summer heat?
the place hot, man.
Get cool now with a Hisense air conditioner.
Wow, I feel good.
With advanced energy-saving inverter technology and whisper quiet operation, beat this heat with Hisense. Available at Aliabra Brands Limited, 64 Hagley Park Road, or call 876-676-5951 now.
So good, so good. I got to you.
Continuing the news, the Westmoreland police are theorizing that a double murder of 2 teenagers in the Top Lincoln district in Grange Hill on Wednesday stems from a love triangle gone wrong. The deceased teenagers have been identified as 15-year-old Giles J. Tomlinson of Burnt Savannah District in Frome and 18-year-old Ramesh O'Connor of a Frome address in the parish. Acting Commanding Officer for the Westmoreland Police Division, Deputy Superintendent Sean J. Mitchell, says a high-level police investigation is underway.
So far, investigation has revealed that this incident is stemming from a love triangle. The deceased person, along with another male, went into the Pell River district in Hanover and assisted a young woman to move from the area. And they were apparently trailed from that area back into Grange Hill, where during a heavy downpour of rainfall, the attacker used the opportunity to attack the victims as they sheltered in place under a shop awning. So far, we believe that the incident is not a gang-related incident. It is believed that based on the information gathered so far and statements collected, that the ex-boyfriend of the female was upset about her leaving with the other persons.
DSP Mitchell is urging citizens to resolve their conflicts without the use of violence.
We are not looking at this as a gang-related incident in the Grange Hill space, and that this incident, while isolated in terms of its origins, we are advising persons who may have interpersonal conflict with other individuals to seek out other means of addressing those interpersonal conflicts. Reach out to the police even. We have a domestic violence intervention center right here in Westmoreland that persons can utilize to address interpersonal conflict matters.
DSP Sean J. Mitchell, Acting Commanding Officer for the Westmoreland Police Division.
Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of crime, Fitz Bailey, says the Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF, has made significant improvements in its management and relationship with the public over the past 40 years.
I think we have come a far way. There have been significant improvement. When I joined, almost every day you will see placard-bearing citizens demonstrating about abuses by the police. We want justice. Almost every activity of the police was faced with some form of opposition. I think I've seen the force transition over the years into what I call a very modern police force that respects the rights of citizens.
DCP Bailey joined the JCF in 1984. He's set to retire on September 8 after serving 4 decades in the force. DCP Bailey noted that while more work is needed, the JCF has also improved in acknowledging the rights of citizens when interacting with them.
We have some work to be done, but when you compare what was and what is now, we are far advanced. And I think the men and women within the JCF, they have gotten the message that citizens' rights is important and that if we are going to execute our duty, we must respect the rights of the citizen as well as the human dignity of each citizen. So I've seen significant improvement.
Fitz Bailey, Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of crime.
The Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC, will begin accepting applications for sub-franchises for 6 stage carriage routes in the Kingston Metropolitan Transport Region, KMTR, starting October 1. The routes are specifically for coaster buses. Transport Minister Darrell Vaz revealed the routes while speaking at a post-cabinet media briefing on Wednesday.
Short route via Harvard Tree to downtown Kingston. That will be for coaster buses. Barbican halfway tree to downtown Kingston, coaster. Doheny Park to halfway tree downtown, coaster. Whitehall to halfway tree via downtown Kingston, coaster. Havendale to halfway tree to downtown Kingston, coaster. Harborview halfway tree downtown Kingston, coaster.
Minister Vaz says there are also plans to issue route taxi licenses for 11 KMTR routes.
With the proliferation of hackney carriage operators providing unauthorized route-type services, the offer by the Transport Authority for the conversion of the license will ease the burdens faced by commuters who are often overcharged to compensate for hackney fare rates.
Darrell Vaz, Minister of Transport. The Transport Authority is scheduled to host a sensitization session on the conversion process in St. William Grant Park in downtown Kingston on September 18.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
The crisis in violence-wrecked Haiti dominated discussions on Friday between U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and President of the Dominican Republic Luis Abinader. Blinken arrived in the Dominican Republic for a one-day visit after landing in neighboring Haiti on Thursday. His visit is to support a UN-backed mission led by Kenya to fight gangs in Haiti. Abinader told reporters that his administration is concerned over the apparent lack of resources for the mission. He also expressed concern about the thousands of inmates who escaped after gangs raided Haiti's two biggest prisons earlier this year as part of a coordinated attack. Blinken said the United States has seen some improvement in Haiti following the arrival of nearly 400 Kenyan police officers in recent months. The Kenyan force is tasked with cracking down on gangs that control 80% of the capital.
The death toll from Friday morning's boarding school fire in central Kenya is still unknown. 17 pupils have been confirmed dead by the Ministry of Education, but 70 more are still missing. 14 other children have been taken to hospital with injuries. It is thought some of the missing children may have run into the local community to escape the fire or were picked up by their parents without the school knowing. The blaze took place in a dormitory at Hillside Endar Asher Academy in Neri County, and its cause is currently unknown. More than 150 pupils were in the dormitory when it caught fire at around midnight local time. The police say the average age of the victims was about 9 years old. In an effort to pin down the children who are still unaccounted for, Kenya's deputy president has urged each and every parent who had collected their child from the school to report to the authorities.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, Parliament may reconvene next week to address the Integrity Commission's report concerning Prime Minister Andrew Holness's statutory declarations.
The report, which includes its indicative ruling, was submitted for tabling by the Integrity Commission yesterday.
International human rights group concerned about Jamaica's continued use of states of public emergency as a crime control tool.
OUR conducts validation checks on JPS's post-burial restoration works.
I'm Roby Ann Williams.
And I'm Nora Gay Banton.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
News at 5 was brought to you by Fostrich Company Limited, fostering rich customer service.
On Sunday, August 11th, in the quiet community of Cherry Tree Lane in Clarendon, our entire nation was shaken by a brutal act of violence.
Gangsters mercilessly took the lives of 8 innocent Jamaicans, including a 7-year-old boy.
These criminals will strike again, destroying more families and more communities unless we stand together to stop them.
If you have any information that can help bring these killers to justice, please share it with the security forces.
The government has established a reward fund of $25 million for information leading to the arrest and charge of the perpetrators who committed this heinous act.
The facilitators who supply them with the arms, intelligence, and the transportation.
And those who harbor and protect these criminals after the crime.
If you know something, say something.
Call Crime Stop at 311, MOCA at 888-6622-847, the NIB at 811, or JDF at 837-8888.
Together,
we
will
defeat
the gangs
and develop a culture of peace in our country.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. A new era in Jamaica's football gets underway in just under 2 hours' time at the National Stadium. The national senior men's team will start live under new coach Steve McLaren when they face Cuba in the first game of the new cycle of Nations League football starting at 7 p.m. McLaren, the former England national team boss, admits he's a bit anxious to get started, but he thinks he'll be okay.
Always, I like that. It means you're ready for the game. And that's what football's all about. Doesn't matter what level. Always when you play, you're always, don't know quite what's going to happen. It's football. We can control the controllables, which we've tried to do. And we try to introduce one or two things, keep things simple. And I'm going to concentrate more on the performance. If we get the performance from the players, normally you get the win. That's what I'll focus on.
McLaren says he was impressed with what he saw from the players in training this week.
I like the spirit. I like the energy. I like them smiling. They enjoy being around each other. I like the training this week because they've put everything into the training session, the intensity, the desire to work. That's what I've liked. We've tried to introduce one or two things. I think we need to keep things simple. The style of play had success. I want to keep that. I want to keep the foundation, keep the basics, keep what they've had for the last 2 years, where they've developed, and as Simon says, third in the Nations League. We want to continue that, but also we want to improve it. So I'm here to help the players go to the next step, the next level, in which we can, stay number one in the Caribbean, but also, let's get up the rankings in CONCACAF. And the ultimate goal, which is World Cup qualification in 26.
New national senior men's football team coach Steve McLaren. Italy beat France 3-1 at the Parc des Princes in Paris today in a European Nations League encounter. It was Italy's first victory over France in 70 years. France took the lead with their fastest ever goal. Bradley Bakora struck after only 12 seconds. However, the Azzurris replied with goals from Federico Di Marco, David Fatesi and Giacomo Raspadori. Elsewhere, Kevin De Bruyne scored twice and Yuri Tielemans the other as Belgium stopped Israel by 3-1 and Romania blanked Kosovo by 3-0. In Nations League football in Africa, World Cup semi-finalist Morocco with a double strike from Hakim Ziyech defeated Gabon by 4-1, while the African champions, the Côte d'Ivoire, defeated Zambia by 2-0, a double coming from Jean-Philippe Crasso. Johnny Graves says as he prepares to leave his position as CEO of Cricket West Indies, he hoped he could have done more to improve the quality of the region's pitches and practice facilities. Graves is set to leave office at the end of October. He says pitches in the Caribbean can still make a lot of progress.
We've got so many more cricketers playing in the youth programmes, those academies and under-23 programmes that are coming to fore next year in particular. But looking at just the men's and women's setup, that we need more quality, high-quality pitches and facilities in the Caribbean. We've got very good international stadiums, and certainly coming out of the T20 World Cup, 6 or 7 of them have undergone significant investment and improvement. We've got to work with the other governments who didn't host the T20 World Cup in order to make sure those 4 or 5 stadiums that didn't go through refurbishment and modernisation can do the same. But I'd really love to see better pitches and increased dedicated practice areas that allow our players to hone their skills in an outdoor environment using modern technology, bowling machines, video analysis. And that's an area that has been called out in our strategic plan that will go from 24 to 2027.
Graves says it's part of Cricket's West Indies plans to include a world-class indoor training facility at Coolidge Cricket Ground.
There's huge expense goes into bringing teams and players into hubs like the one that we have here in Antigua, and what you don't want is lots of time lost in terms of that training because of the weather. That said, there are lots of new initiatives going around the world where you can sort of provide indoor facilities that are half indoors, half outdoors, and by that I mean a sort of translucent roof which allows sunlight to come through so the grass can grow, allows you to have natural grass growing, which is the best environment for players to learn on natural surfaces rather than that artificial, but it doesn't necessarily have sides, so it's more like a covered pitch with a roof rather than necessarily a full-blown indoor facility, which is obviously very expensive from a cooling perspective in terms of air conditioning and lighting and everything else that goes with it.
That's outgoing CEO of Cricket West Indies, Johnny Grave. That's sports. We're going to be back with more at 6:05.
Can you imagine getting a marketable skill for free? Your government has made it possible for anyone wanting to learn a skill to get free training through the Heart and STA Trust. Learn a new skill and expand your horizons.
The time by the Office of the Prime Minister is
5:31.
Exciting news! The Design Studio on Nationwide 90 FM just got a whole lot bigger. Join us this and every Saturday now from 1 to 3 p.m. for an exclusive show that elevates your home, mind, and soul. Discover the latest interior design trends to create your dream sanctuary. Unlock your true potential with personal growth strategies. Nourish your body and spirit with expert wellness tips. Don't miss out on the inspiration you need to live your best life. Tune in to the Design Studio this and every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. and take the first step towards a more fulfilling you.
Make me sweat, make me harder.
It's the weekend and the youth are taking over the airwaves. Yes, we are the new voices and faces of the Talk Up You radio show. The voice of the Jamaican youth right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
After a busy week of work and school, come unwind with Jamaica's #1 youth radio show.
We're bringing you entertainment, fun facts, and staying true to youth development and advocacy.
Catch the action each and every Saturday as we roll out buzzy segments. What say you?
Youth for chat.
Life skills.
Global Connect. And Bust the Youth.
That's the Talk Up Youth radio show. Saturdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. Talk Up Youth, Miss Effie.
Talk Up Youth. Don't miss it.
Not a mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all the schoolers who are taking them.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team. Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Good afternoon. It's 5:33 on Friday, September, and it is the cover story. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis. How are you, Siobhan?
Doing quite well, as things seem to be really heating up in the political space in these last few days.
Yeah, man, the silly season is underway. I'm not surprised at all.
Well, today is not a politics discussion. Today we are turning to infrastructure. as the China Harbor Engineering Company Czech has begun rehabilitation works on damaged sections of the Harborview to Yalis leg of the Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project. The road was damaged during the passage of Hurricane Beryl on July 3. St. Thomas was among the first parishes to be hit by the hurricane.
The National Works Agency cited poor material quality for the deterioration of the Yalis Pond to Pampret section of the highway. Czech took full responsibility for the damage. Works Minister Robert Morgan joins us now with an update. Good afternoon, Minister.
Hi, good afternoon, Siobhan. Good afternoon.
Sanjay Lewis is my co-host.
Sanjay, I noticed you from somewhere else, but once again, welcome to Nationwide, sir, and thanks to you and your listeners for having me today.
Thank you as always, Minister. So tell us, what was the extent of the damage to the Harborview to Yalis leg of the road?
So it is actually two sections, package 2 and package 14, Loudon to Pamphlet and Morant Bay to Georgia. There was about 1.6 kilometers of road that was, the base material that was used was not of the quality that it should have been. In context, this is a 122 kilometer two-lane road from Harborview all the way to Portland. So this is a very small section of the road that was damaged by bad material.
So tell me, Minister, after this segment has been repaired, does this have any impact on the overall time for completion of the ship project?
No, it shouldn't. It's not a significant section, and there's always the possibility when you're doing such a significant project that you will have challenges, whether it be material challenges or so on. If this was a greenfield site, meaning if it was a fresh site, you would not necessarily know about it because the public would not be using the road. And there have been occasions on greenfield sites where roads have to be dug up because of probably incorrect material being used. So this should not have an impact on the final date of handover for the ship project. But also remember, it's very important to note that as part of the contract, the main contractor, which is China Harbor, has a responsibility to deal with all defects at no cost to the government. And even after the road is handed over to the government, there is a 2-year defects liability period where any defect that occurs over that period, the main contractor is obligated. It's kind of an insurance for the country for the road.
And should we be concerned, Minister, that other sections of the road may very well have this poor material quality, which possibly over time could cause deterioration?
Well, we do know where the material came from. We know exactly the quarry that it came from, and we have put in place some additional measures working with the consultants, Standing Engineering, and the NWA, as well as the main contractor, to ensure that nothing of this nature occurs again. So we don't expect something exactly like this to recur. But as I said to you before, it's 122 kilometers long road. There will be occasions where there are challenges on it, and that's something that is factored in to the entire contractual arrangement. What is important is that when these issues are observed, that they are quickly remedied and that the public purse does not suffer because of it.
Then, Minister, can we get an overall update on the ship project as to where it's currently being worked on and what are the timelines for completion?
We expect the project to be completed probably mid next year. We are currently in sections of Eastern St. Thomas, and we're also completing some sections of Portland. We're also doing some work in the Pamphlet area where we are putting in place a retaining wall that was removed by Beryl. That wasn't a part of the original ship project, but because we recognized that the wall was destroyed by Beryl, we thought it was appropriate to protect the road that we replaced that wall Other than that, there are some drain works that are taking place along the roadway. For example, in Morant Bay, we're doing some drain works as well, and also looking at areas where other defects may have occurred and repair them. The project is an ongoing project. The engineer, the contractor is working very fast to try and complete it by mid next year, and that is something that we expect to happen. But the major work is taking place right now in eastern St. Thomas, in the constituency of Michelle Charles. There's a lot of pipeline work taking place there, water pipes. There's a lot of excavation taking place, and also preparation of the surface for marl and asphalt and drainage as well.
Mm-hmm. And just to be absolutely clear, Minister, the repair work that will be done or is ongoing, it's at no cost to the Jamaican people.
Well, we've said it on several occasions. The Prime Minister said it when he visited the area recently, and it has been said by the National Works Agency as well. It's a part of the contract. The main contractor is responsible for the road. The road has not been handed over to the government as yet, so the main contractor still has custody of the 122-kilometer road. I think some people may be confused because we have opened some sections of the road. Opening does not mean handover. Opening was an effort by the government to really give people the opportunity to have a better commute to and from their business and homes. But the road is still in the custody of the contractor, and they're still obligated to fix whatever may occur at no cost to the government, no cost to the taxpayer, no cost to the country.
So, Minister, there were some issues raised, if I recall, regarding the payment irregularities for subcontractors on that project. Has that been sorted out?
Well, what I can report, and again, context is important. The contracts between the local contractors and China Harbour, the government is not a party to those contracts. So I have to be very careful as a minister how I even comment or try to intervene. My job is to enunciate the policy of the government. What I have done, however, is I have engaged with China Harbour. I have engaged with the local contractors. I recently had a meeting with the head of China Harbour in the region from Panama, as well as the NWA would have engaged them as well. And we made it very clear, one, that the ship program must be done properly and on time, and that it is important that they, within their contractual arrangement, resolve the issues that they have with the local contractors. The reality of it is, in contracts, you're always going to have issues between contractor and contractee. That's why you have different dispute resolution mechanisms in contracts. But the government cannot intervene in a contract between two parties because we're not a party to the contract. Our position is that we want a good environment for our local contractors, as well as a good environment for investment. And when I met with the Incorporated Master Builders Association, I assured them that the government does support local contractors, and we also support investment. So the government wants to be a bridge between our local contractors who have expertise, equipment, and labor, and our international investors who have resources so that we can do some of these infrastructure works. So I'm confident, based on the commitments given to me by China Harbour, from their head of the region, as well as the commitment from our local contractors of their willingness to sit at the table, that both parties can amicably work out their challenges. And they have made that commitment, and I cannot go behind that. I have to accept that commitment sincerely.
Mm-hmm. And as it relates to the REACH project, Minister, earlier this week you had indicated that by the end of the week, we would know the total allocation that will be given to each MP. Is that now finalized?
Well, the letter has been finalized to be distributed to MPs. It is awaiting the Prime Minister's signature. By the latest Monday, those letters will be distributed to all 63 MPs, where they will understand the allocation to each constituency and also the allocation to each constituency and the stipulations. I want to make something clear though. The allocation to the constituencies is separate from the allocation for main roads. So the allocation to constituencies is to deal with community roads. So a big part of the concern a lot of our citizens have had is that they feel that a lot of their community roads have not gotten any attention. But there's also another section of the allocation that deals with, let's say, Arthurtree Road, Waterloo Road, let's say Lucy, Hanover, let's say sections of Mandeville, and so on. And that allocation will be managed by the National Works Agency. And there are also roads that are border roads that are shared between constituencies, which are in essence no man's land where no constituency takes real ownership of it. And we have a responsibility as central government to ensure that the community and public does not suffer because of that. So there are two allocations, one to NWA, one to the assigned to constituencies, where NWA will be fixing the main roads and the constituency organization, meaning the political representatives, will recommend the community roads but to be repaired by the patching program. So by Monday, the public will hear what the allocations are respectively.
Hold it first, Minister. We are up on a break. We're speaking with the Minister with responsibility for works, Robert Morgan. We take the break.
Clearing personal, non-commercial shipments at the port? Avoid the wait. Request a contactless clearance through your agent today. It's more efficient. It's secure. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
5:45.
Hey, did you know that the Jamaica Stock Exchange has a loyalty program?
No, what at?
Well, as a JSE Loyalty Club member, you are now able to earn rewards when you shop at any of the participating merchants island-wide.
But I don't own any stocks and I'm not a member.
No problem, man. Join the program by downloading the JSE Loyalty app, activate your account, and start racking up points with every purchase. Redeem points for goods and services at any participating merchant or choose to convert them into stocks.
So what if I already have stocks?
That's even better. It means that you are pre-enrolled on the program. You only need to download the app and activate. Start your portfolio, grow your portfolio, join our loyalty program, and earn, save, or invest. The Jamaica Stock Exchange, where loyalty builds financial performance.
On Sunday, August 11th, in the quiet community of Cherry Tree Lane in Clarendon, our entire nation was shaken by a brutal act of violence.
Gangsters mercilessly took the lives of 8 innocent Jamaicans, including a 7-year-old boy and several women.
These criminals will strike again, destroying more families and more communities unless we stand together to stop them.
If you have any information that can help bring these killers to justice, please share it with the security forces.
The government has established a reward fund of $25 million for information leading to the arrest and charge of the perpetrators who committed this heinous act.
The facilitators who supplied them with arms, intelligence, and transportation.
Those who harbor and protect these criminals after the crime.
If you know something, say something.
Call Crime Stop at 311 MOCA at 888-6622-847.
NIB at 811 or the JDM at 837-8888.
Together, we will defeat the gangs and develop a culture of peace in our country.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Ministry of National Security.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. You're on the cover story, and we're talking about infrastructure. The country suffered from Hurricane Beryl, and some of the roads under the Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project were impacted. But now we're talking to the Works Minister, that's Robert Morgan, about the REACH program that was instituted to assist MPs with many of the outstanding issues caused by Hurricane Beryl. So, Minister, this matter of road rehabilitation being done under REACH, there is a lot of people questioning why this is necessary when you have the Spark program still ongoing and why many of these issues cannot be addressed under that program.
Well, thank you very much for that question, and I think it gives me the opportunity to explain a little bit more about the difference between the Spark program and the REACH initiative. Now, the Spark program comes from the capital budget. So every year, the Minister of Finance will announce a capital allocation, which is to be used for major projects such as, for example, we're doing a lot of work on Grange Lane in St. Catherine. That's a capital project. You would look at several other major infrastructure projects across the island, which are capital projects. The reach allocation comes from towards the recurrent maintenance budget of the National Works Agency. So it comes under a different regime. So while the capital project has to go to PIMC, this is the Public Investment Management Committee, and it has to go through a significant, rigorous process of planning and studies and all of that. The reach is a recurrent expenditure, meaning the end of the day would get money every year in their recurrent budget to do routine maintenance. Now, because there was an extraordinary event, which is a hurricane, we recognize that the needs of the country's infrastructure were so greater and were so immediate that it was very important for us to intervene very urgently to try to give the public some respite, some comfort. So, and the other thing I want to mention about Spark as well is that the government would have carried out a significant portion of consultations across, I think we're at 61 constituencies now, where members of the communities would have recommended about 500 roads. When we did our studies, Jamaica has about 23,000 roads in Jamaica. The Spark program is not going to be able to fix all of those roads, but there's still going to be some roads that are not touched by Spark this year or probably next year. Those people deserve roads too. They deserve some respite from the challenges that they're facing with potholes, which impacts their financial circumstances, whether it be because of the cost of transportation or it be because of the cost of parts to repair their vehicles. So while persons may initially question why do we have Reach when we have Spark, the simple answer is Spark is a massive capital program, which is $40 billion over 2 years, while Reach is a significantly less recurrent expenditure program geared at solving some of the challenges, even temporarily, caused by an extraordinary event, which was the Beryl hurricane.
Mm-hmm. Your opposition counterpart, Minister, that's Michael Phillips, says the government continues to ignore the need to establish a dedicated road maintenance fund. How do you respond to that?
I mean, there has been discussions since time immemorial for a dedicated road maintenance fund, but we have to look at history and also look at the future. The government is never resistant to good ideas, but the government is also resistant to bad ideas in new clothes. Remember, the previous road maintenance fund did not have a dedicated funding regime to ensure that the work that needed to be done was being done. What it basically said was that the Ministry of Finance from time to time will make cash infusions into the fund. And it did not serve us well, because the reason why we're here and we have to be doing the Spark program and we have to be doing all of these significant capital expenditure into our road infrastructure is for many decades under the road maintenance fund of the past, where it was supposed to have been a dedicated fund for roads. There was not significant investment. What is important, and I think the public would appreciate this as well, is not whether or not we have a dedicated fund for roads, is whether or not the roads are getting fixed. And over the last 8 years, if you compare from a purely budgetary perspective, or you go further and compare from an impact perspective, this administration has spent more on building out infrastructure such as roads, drains, bridges, and so on, than any other administration over a similar period. So we have to look at the outcomes, not just the process. All good and well to have nice named things, but at the end of the day, what the people want is a positive outcome that will have positive impact on their lives. And the evidence shows, you look at the Mobile Perimeter Road, look at the Harborview to Portland Ship project, which was, when it was suggested by the previous administration, would have been a toll road. It is not a toll road now, it's a proper free road. And if you look at how we are modernizing our infrastructure, we're not just putting down asphalt. For example, on the ship we're doing water mains, we're doing sewer mains, we're doing broadband cabling. That is how we vision infrastructure development, not just discrete things that never worked in the past, but actually things that have positive outcomes for the people of the country.
But Minister, I hear you, but I think it's more than just having money in a budget that people are concerned about. It's about having a structured, scheduled repair of roads that I think is more the concern, because sometimes it would seem a lot of communities and a lot of roads get little attention while others get more, possibly for good reasons in terms of usage and the actual trafficking of said corridors. But why not have a system rather than these very once in a while budgetary allocations, an actual structured program where you have scheduled maintenance of roads as just a regular budgetary line item?
There is a scheduled maintenance of roads. This is why there's a recurrent budget at the end of the year for road maintenance of about $4.5 billion, which deals with maintaining our main roads, for example. The work that we just finished at Grandstand Gully, that was a part of our scheduled maintenance. The work that we're going to be doing at Charlton Gully to make it concrete instead of asphalt, that's a part of our scheduled maintenance. And from time to time, to the annoyance of many commuters in the public, you will see men out there on the road patching and overlaying roads. There is a organization called National Works Agency that has a statutory obligation to do routine maintenance and planned maintenance. They have a lot of studies, they do a lot of studies in terms of traffic management and so on, and they do a lot of work in that. I think it's a kind of lack of understanding by the gentleman, or I don't know if it's lack of understanding or an unwillingness to understand, that while there may not be a discrete fund for road maintenance, there is a discrete budget for road maintenance, which is an allocation to the National Road Works Agency. Now, the argument he may have tried to bring forward, which he didn't, is whether or not the government needs to give NWA more money to carry out more maintenance. And that is a symptom of where we're coming from as a country. Remember, there was a point in time when our debt to GDP ratio was about 140%, and we were not able to allocate sufficient resources to repair our hospitals, to repair our schools. And one of the particular interesting things that Beryl has taught us is this country now has the ability to absorb certain shocks without having to borrow. So previously, you would have had to go out there and try to borrow the money to spend $3 billion to repair roads. We didn't have to do that. We could go to the Ministry of Finance, and the Ministry of Finance could look at the money that it has and say, well, we can afford as a country to allocate an additional $3 billion. We could afford $1 billion to repair a lot of the schools that were damaged due to Beryl without having to borrow. We could afford resources to the Ministry of Labor and Social Security to give persons who have suffered damage through Beryl some assistance, whether it be food assistance, whether it be minor repairs to their homes. So I think the bigger picture that we need to look at is that we are now in a position where we can afford to do a lot more things because of how we have managed our fiscal space. And what I know based on sitting at the place where I sit on Mondays is that the government is very interested in doing more remedial work on our roads, which is where the Spark program came from. It is very interested in building out our community roads and improving our community roads. And the last point I want to make, let's look at an example of how the government is working in communities. The government has a program through the NHT where we rehabilitate infrastructure and housing schemes that have been around for the last 30, 40 years. The reason why we're able to do that is we have the budgetary space to do it. So in my constituency and other constituencies, older housing schemes are now seeing the government coming and resurfacing the roads, building out drains. Those things never happened before. So it's not just NWA, it's not just Park, it's not just the Montego Bay bypass, it's not just SHIP, but it's a whole suite of strategic plans that the Prime Minister and the Ministry of Finance and the Cabinet have formulated over a medium to long-term period about lifting our infrastructural quality over time. And I think if we look at the whole picture of what we're doing, then persons would be able to understand the strategy and also the impact which ultimately is to the benefit of our people.
Okay. Minister, we're almost out of time, but I still want to put this last thing to you. The Spark program, 40 billion over 2 years, will it continue beyond that period of time, even under a rebranded name, as just a normal, routine program where community roads are addressed?
Well, I cannot tell you, I cannot predict what is going to be in the budget 2 years from now. What I can tell you is that the intent of the government is to continue to invest in the infrastructure, whether it be Spark, whether it be SHIP, whether it be the perimeter road, whether it be First to Maxi, whether it be a bridge program which is being planned. We are very interested in spending a lot of money because the good quality infrastructure is important to the growth and development of our economy. It provides jobs, it provides ease of use for commerce, ease of trade for commerce, and it also helps to enhance the aesthetic appeal of your country. So we are interested in that, but I will not come on radio today and predict what the Minister of Finance and the Prime Minister will do in 3 years' time. We have Spark now, and we're going to make the best of it from where I sit as the Minister with responsibility, and we're working out the whole processes so that we can start building some roads as soon as possible.
Very well. Minister with Responsibility for Works, Robert Morgan. Thank you so much for your time, Minister.
Thank you both, and thank you, your listeners, for listening. Have a great
All the
weekend.
best, Minister.
The headlines now at 6.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
6 o'clock.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Nationwide News understands that Parliament may be recalled earlier than scheduled to address the Integrity Commission's report concerning Prime Minister Andrew Holness's statutory declarations. The report, which includes its indicative ruling, was submitted for tabling by the Integrity Commission on Thursday. This report is expected to bring closure to the long-standing issue surrounding the Prime Minister's statutory declarations, which have remained uncertified for nearly 3 years. The Parliament, originally slated to resume its sessions on September 17, might reconvene earlier than planned. Nationwide News has learned that the Government Caucus is considering bringing Gordon House back into session on Tuesday, September 10, in response to new reports from the Integrity Commission. The early recall of Parliament highlights the significance of the report and its potential impact on resolving the ongoing questions related to Prime Minister Holness's declarations. These reports include a report of investigation, an associated indicative ruling, and a full ruling from the Director of Corruption Prosecution. It's understood all pertain to Prime Minister Andrew Holness's statutory declarations. The Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, IACHR, has raised concerns over Jamaica's continued use of states of emergency, SOEs, as a crime control mechanism. The concern was raised in the Commission's annual report released on Thursday. It's urging the country to ensure such measures comply with international human rights standards. On August 14, 2024, the Jamaican government declared an SOE for the parish of Clarendon. That followed a mass shooting that left 8 people dead and 9 injured. The IACHR says under the SOE, the government grants security forces additional powers, including conducting warrantless searches, arrests, and detentions, which are typically constrained under normal circumstances. The IACHR noted that the suspension of certain guarantees is permissible under extraordinary conditions, such as war, or a significant threat to state security as outlined in Article 27 of the American Convention on Human Rights. However, it says the implementation of such measures must meet standards of reasonableness, necessity, and proportionality. The Commission emphasizes that judicial guarantees must be upheld even during emergencies. In its annual report, the IACHR repeatedly expressed concern over Jamaica's frequent use of SOEs, stressing that these measures should be exceptional, short-term, and carefully monitored. The Commission is warning that relying on SOEs as a permanent security strategy runs counter to Jamaica's obligations under international law. The Office of Utility Regulation, OUR, is reporting that its technical team has observed the full restoration and re-energizing of all Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS's, primary and secondary distribution circuits affected by Hurricane Beryl. In a statement on Friday, OUR says it has been carrying out validation checks on JPS's efforts to restore its transmission and distribution infrastructure and reconnect electricity to customers in St. Elizabeth and Manchester. This follows JPS's announced completion of its post-Hurricane Beryl restoration efforts last weekend. OUR says that all power supply had been restored to all, but 3 customers. Of the 3 unrestored customers, 2 accounts relate to water pumps. In terms of supply to customers, OUR says there are some premises where power supply has not been restored due to customers' electrical installations not being in place to accommodate service connections. According to the OUR, its technical team observations were consistent with the reports from JPS about issues on the customer's side of the connection point that were preventing full restoration of electricity. The regulator says its team discovered that some circuits, including structures, were restored based on a rapid repair approach. As a result of this, the problematic issues of leaning pole structures and excessive sagging of conductors that existed before and after Hurricane Beryl continue to exist. And finally, the Westmoreland police are theorizing that a double murder of 2 teenagers in Top Lincoln District in Grange Hill on Wednesday stems from a love triangle gone wrong. The deceased teenagers have been identified as 15-year-old JLJ Tomlinson of Burnt Savannah District in Frome and 18-year-old Ramesh O'Connor of a Frome address in the parish. Acting Commanding Officer for the Westmoreland Police Division, Deputy Superintendent Sean J. Mitchell, says a high-level police investigation is underway.
So far, investigation has revealed that this incident is stemming from a love triangle. The deceased person, along with another male, went into the Pell River district in Hanover and assisted a young woman to move from the area. And they were apparently trailed from that area back into Grange Hill, where during a heavy downpour of rainfall, the attacker used the opportunity to attack the victims as they sheltered in place under a shop awning. So far, we believe that the incident is not a gang-related incident. It is believed that based on the information gathered so far and statements collected, that the ex-boyfriend of the female was upset about her leaving with the other persons.
DSP Mitchell is urging citizens to resolve their conflicts without the use of violence.
We are not looking at this as a gang-related incident within the Grange Hill space, and that this incident, while isolated in terms of its origins, we are advising persons who may have interpersonal conflict with other individuals to seek out other means of addressing those interpersonal conflicts. Reach out to the police even. We have a domestic violence intervention center right here in Westmoreland that persons can utilize to address interpersonal conflict matters.
That's DSP Sean J. Mitchell, Acting Commanding Officer for the Westmoreland Police Division. Those are the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Sports is next.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825 APC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
With so much to do in one location, make Megamart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills. Fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far.
Good evening with your sports report. I am Alex Raby. We kick things off with some football as a new era in Jamaica's football gets underway in just under an hour's time at the National Stadium. The national senior men's team will start life under new coach Stephen McLaren when they face Cuba in the first game of the new cycle of Nations League football starting at 7 p.m. McLaren, the former England national team boss, admits he's a bit anxious ahead of the game, but thinks he'll be all right.
Always, I like that. It means you're ready for the game. And that's what football's all about. Doesn't matter what level. Always when you play, you're always, don't know quite what's going to happen. It's football. We can control the controllables, which we've tried to do. And we try to introduce one or two things, keep things simple. And I'm going to concentrate more on the performance. If we get the performance from the players, normally you get the win. That's what I'll focus on.
He says he was impressed with what he saw from the players in training.
I like the spirit. I like the energy. I like them smiling. They enjoy being around each other. I like the trainings because they've put everything into the training session. The intensity, the desire to work. That's what I've liked. We've tried to introduce one or two things. I think we need to keep things simple. The style of play had success. I want to keep that. I want to keep the foundation, keep the basics, keep what they've had for the last 2 years, where they've developed, and as Simon says, third in the Nations League. We want to continue that, but also we want to improve it. So I'm here to help the players go to the next step, the next level, in which we can, stay number one in the Caribbean, but also, let's get up the rankings in CONCACAF. And the ultimate goal, which is World Cup qualification in 26.
Steve McLaren, now the starting 11 for Jamaica's team for today's match are Adrian Blake, Lambicasa, Joe Lottebodier, Pinnock, Amari Bell, Damian Lowe, Palmer, Lowe, Reed, and Michael Antonio, and Damari Gray. So that's the starting 11 for Jamaica's senior team for this evening's game against Cuba. Now, Italy beat French 3-1 in Paris today in a European Nations League encounter. It was Italy's first victory over France in 70 years. France took the lead with their fastest ever goal. Bradley Barcola struck after only 12 seconds. However, the Azuris replied with goals from Federico Di Marco, David Fatesi, and Giacomo Raspadori. Elsewhere, Kevin De Bruyne scored twice and Yuri Tillemans the other as Belgium stopped Israel 3-1 and Romania blanked Kosovo 3-0. In Nations League football in Africa, World Cup semi-finalist Morocco with a double from Hakim Ziyech defeated Gabon 4-1, while African champions the Ivory Coast defeated Zambia 2-0 with a double from Jean-Philippe Croissant. On to cricket, as Johnny Graves says, as he prepares to leave his position as CEO of Cricket West Indies, he hoped he could have done more to improve the quality of the region's pitches and practice facilities. Graves is set to leave office at the end of October. He says pitches in the Caribbean can still make a lot of progress.
We've got so many more cricketers playing in youth programs, those academies and under-23 programs that are coming to fore next year in particular. But looking at just the men's and women's setup, that we need more quality, high-quality pitches and facilities in the Caribbean. We've got very good international stadiums, and certainly coming out of the T20 World Cup, 6 or 7 of them have undergone significant investment and improvement. We've got to work with the other governments who didn't host the T20 World Cup in order to make sure those 4 or 5 stadiums that didn't go through refurbishment and modernisation can do the same. But I'd really love to see better pitches and increased dedicated practice areas that allow our players to hone their skills in an outdoor environment using modern technology, bowling machines, video analysis. And that's an area that has been called out in our strategic plan that will go from 24 to 2027.
Graves says it's part of CWI's plans to include a world-class indoor training facility at Cooley's Cricket Ground.
There's huge expense goes into bringing teams and players into hubs like the one that we have here in Antigua, and what you don't want is lots of time lost in terms of that training because of the weather. That said, there are lots of new initiatives going around the world where you can sort of provide indoor facilities that are half indoors, half outdoors, and by that I mean a sort of translucent roof which allows sunlight to come through so the grass can grow, allows you to have natural grass growing, which is the best environment for players to learn on natural surfaces rather than that artificial, but it doesn't necessarily have sides, so it's more like a covered pitch with a roof rather than necessarily a full-blown indoor facility, which is obviously very expensive from a cooling perspective in terms of air conditioning and lighting and everything else that goes with it.
Johnny Grave, you can listen to the full interview during Sports Nation Live tomorrow starting at 5 p.m. Now, Westmoreland overpowered Kensington to become the champions of the Kingston Wharves Under-15 cricket competition at the Ultimate Cricket Ground in Discovery Bay, St. Anne recently. Westmoreland shared the championship twice in the distant past, but became the sole champions this year, ending the tournament undefeated. Westmoreland were bowled out for 115 in 28.4 overs. Match MVP Westmoreland's Umaria Reid scored 80 runs from 81 deliveries and was the only batsman to get into double figures. Zachary Buchanan took 7 for 33, while Andrew Lloyd got 2 for 32. Kingston started positively but lost its first wicket at 15 and then had a steady progression of batsmen returning to the pavilion and was on 7 for 27 at one point. There was a rain delay when they were in their 30s. They were eventually all out for 77 in 34.4 overs and lost the match by 38 runs. Westmoreland's coach, Grantley Reid, was very happy with the result.
We've been here before, but we had to share. And for the work that was put in, because the journey did not begin with this competition. Most of the boys have been to quarterfinals, but we never made it through. But I knew we had the depth to win this competition, and they delivered. Even when we were in deep trouble, because at one point Kensington made a fight of the match. They played well to come back from where they were, because we thought it would have been over before they reached 50. But they fought well, they played well, they had heart. They have a young team.
Grantley Reid. Now to horse racing, as American jockey Arnaldo Bocachica will bring some international flavour to the two-day Winston Griffiths Classic at Caymanas Park starting tomorrow. The event will feature 19 races, 9 on Saturday and 10 on Sunday. Racing Secretary Denzel Miller says Bocachica was the one who made the initial contact.
We had 3 riders here on Derby Day, which was just fantastic. And he reached out to our chairman. I said, I am free on this weekend, and he would love to come and be a part of our promotions. And the rest is history. Orlando is a leading rider at Monmouth Park. He's won numerous graded races. His career is well over 2,000 winners, and his horsemanship skills are exceptionally good.
Miller says Bocachica's participation encouraged the organizers to include a jockey championships. He says 6 racers were assigned to be a part of the championships, 3 on Saturday and 3 on Sunday. 6 teams of 2 riders each will participate over the 2 days. Miller says the teams were named after Griffith's favorite horses.
Team Eros would be Arnaldo Bocachica and O'Neill Mullings, the Viceroy. Team Captain Kevin Foster, partnering with Shane Richardson. Distinctly Irish, Triple Crown winner also. Radish Roman and Omar Walker will team up for that in honor of the distinctly Irish Royal Dad, the first Triple Crown winner ever at Caymanas Park, and he was ridden by Winston Griffith. Robert Halladine and Philip Parchment will do the honors for that team. Legal Light, a champion and a huge household name. Ryan Lewis, Chavon Townsend, and A King is Born. He was a very fleet-footed thoroughbred who a lot of people thought he could not get the distance of 12 furlongs in the Derby. The rest is history. And that's for Paul Francis and O'Shea Nugent.
The teams will be competing for a total purse of $800,000.
First place, 400,000 Jamaican dollars. Second place team, 250. Third place team, 150,000 to be shared between the teams who finish first, second, and third. And that will bring together what is expected to be a very exciting weekend of thoroughbred racing.
Denzel Miller. And finally, in track and field, national 400 meters hurdler Rashawn Clark says he hopes to improve on his personal best when he competes in Brussels, the final stop on the Diamond League circuit on September 14. Clark has a lifetime best of 47.34 seconds set at the World Championships in Budapest last year. The 2022 World Under-20 champion made the comment after winning the men's 400 meters hurdles in 47.49 seconds in Zurich on Thursday.
My goal is to go there, run my race, run as best as possible, and try to come out with even a personal best in my last race for the season.
Rashawn Clark. I'm Alric Swiby, and that's your sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:20.
Former staff of Jamaica Mutual Life Assurance Society and Jamaica Mutual Properties who are beneficiaries of the pension schemes or their next of kin, personal representatives or beneficiaries of their estate are invited to contact the Pensions Department, Guardian Life, 12 Trafalgar Road, Kingston 10, or 876-927-4105, extension 2794, or email gllpensions@myguardiangroup.com to make arrangements to claim their pensions and or any other benefits due and payable to them.
It's back to school time again, and KB is making things easy. Shop online, in-store, or via WhatsApp at 876-788-1405 for a chance to win $150,000 cash, a laptop, or a tablet. And it doesn't end there. KB is making everything easy. Pick up in-store or shop online today. Promotion runs from July 15 to September 7, 2024. Easy, that's the KB difference.
Discover something new. Discover the KB difference.
Authorized under Section 50 of the Betting, Gaming and Lodges Act.
Here's to the early risers, and we are here all-nighters. The go the extra milers, and let's do it until it works. Workers. People who are powerful because they power through day after day, challenge after challenge. You see, true power, it's not something you can buy or collect. It is something that starts on the inside, and you always know it when you see it. Sunshine Snack Peanuts. Proud supporters of the powerful.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Robeanne Williams. A special good evening to our friends on our YouTube platform. Thank you so much for tuning in. We like to hear from you, so we ask you to weigh in live in the comments section on today's Public Opinion. And today's Public Opinion is brought to you by the very own George Davis. Yep, we were in our news meeting earlier today, and George said, what we are going to ask today now? Because it's a Friday, and on a Friday we don't really ask nothing hard. No hard news. We don't really ask nothing about hard news. Yeah, so we go frivolous on a Friday. So, George came up with this question about donuts. Yeah? And we're serving up something sweet and delicious. So we're asking, who Who makes the best donuts in Jamaica? That's our public opinion question this evening. Yep. I want to declare that I don't eat donuts, and I get bashed for this all the time. That I'm not a, me don't make sense because me don't eat donut. But I don't eat donuts, I just don't know. I don't like donuts. But yes, let me see if I can get to the comments on our social media platform. I'll start on Instagram, where Muzz Multi is saying, don't sleep on Tasty. Yeah, Tasty McDonuts? I don't know. Den is saying Prestige. Yeah. Kimmy says, then if I'm a Prestige, then Allergic to Stupid is saying Prestige. Diamond Express, Prestige. I'm seeing a lot of Prestige. Prestige is the only right answer. Prestige, they're the only donuts I eat. That's coming from Gail. All right, so I can say for sure that Prestige is winning so far. The Fashion Travel is saying Krispy Kreme. They're really soft, chewy, delectable, and they have several different choices of toppings and flavors. Now, you see, when you talk about donuts, the toppings and flavors is what I like, So I will get the donut, and I will actually eat off the toppings and the flavors, like the the chocolate and the sprinkles on it. I eat the donut fully, but I eat the chocolate and the sprinkles and the icing. Yeah, that part of the donut that I eat, but not really like eat donuts still. But yes, back to the comments on our social media platform. Anne Marie is saying Prestige. Yeah. Official is saying Captain's Bakery. A long time in a hear about Captain's Bakery, but yeah, they make donuts too. Captain's Bakery. She's telling us to try it. Prestige again. Yeah, I'm seeing Prestige. All right, so Prestige by far win. Prestige by far win per Instagram. So let's take it on over to our X platform, where Lenroy James went as far as to share with us a photo he took in 2023 with the Prestige donuts sitting right in his front seat. Yep. All right. Andre Lawrence is saying, my mother. That's nice. That is nice. Homemade donuts. Who would have thought? DJ is saying Prestige. Beverly Gordon says, I never got the deal about Prestige donuts. Gonna try them next time I see them, because it's been years. Yeah. President saying Prestige. Damian saying Prestige donuts. The third power is telling us that Honey Buns Assorted box is top tier. Prestige is the traditional. Jobs News and Views saying Prestige, of course. All right, so Prestige, take it. We've heard of a mixture of a lot more. We heard Krispy Kreme and Tasty, Mothers. Let me see, Rodney. Marine Brian is saying Prestige. Dill is saying Prestige, especially the pink box. And a pink box alone, them come in a bugs. You have different color box? Oh, I think them have yellow too. Them have yellow? I don't know, man. Natalie Winter saying, I just love them in my school days. We just love the jelly. So both Prestige and Honey Bun is extremely excellent for me. Big up them every time. And Raquel Messam is giving us the location, Prestige Bakery in Kingston. Me hear say when you go to Prestige, sometime the line long, Philip Jackson is saying, well, across the world, Dunkin' Donuts takes the cake. But based on what I'm seeing for Jamaica, it looks like Prestige is living up to its name in Jamaica. Purpose Case is a Prestige in the red and white stripe box. Cadian said Prestige, especially the one in the pink and white box. So I think people, the red and white box and the pink and white box, I think it's the same, no? Let me see. Shalom is saying Prestige. All right, so it's safe to say that Prestige is in the lead. Marsha Malcolm is saying Captains. Yeah. Prestige. I'm seeing Andrea Williams said Prestige, it's no competition. Yeah. Kate McIntosh is saying Honey Bun. Ray Mayer is saying Krispy Kreme. Yeah. Alicia Watson said bad to bad, Prestige still a guan. Would you look at that? If you're just joining us, we're in the court of public opinion and we want to hear from you. It's a Friday, so we're asking you, who makes the best donuts in Jamaica? Yeah? Who makes the best donuts? Tevin Johnson on our YouTube is saying honey bun one is too small. Tevin Johnson, I know you we eat about 6 of that, don't it? Sandra Murray is saying Prestige all the way. McHugh is saying Prestige leading the way. Prince Charles, Prestige, me eat off that in a no time and buy a next one. I'll leave something here. Let me see. Affectionate Forest Bridge is saying, I'm with you on that, Roby, and too much oil. I just don't know, man. I don't know. I've never gotten the hype of over donuts. Isa Mario is saying Krispy Kreme is very good. Super soft, but very sweet. Price Smart is also good too. Also the yellow box for the twist and Prestige for the culture. And when I was younger. Yeah? I see you, Leroy Rotti. I see you. South Coast said Prestige hands down. Them simply delicious. Yeah? I don't know. Isa Maria is saying Yellow Box is a different company. Oh, you see? Y'all in the donut business out here. I remember, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, I was in a vehicle and we were driving and one of my friends, they saw the donut man selling donuts and she said she always buy from him. So she stopped and she buy the donut and then she turned, give me the box for me to take out one. I said, no man, that good here, all the better. All the better she get for eat it by herself. Baby Toy says honey bun fried donuts. No other? You have fried donuts? Yeah, okay. Tanya Jones is saying Prestige, of course. Yeah. Novelet Mattis, Prestige. PB says, I love donuts. Not the one with jam inside, though. I just never understand the whole hype over donuts. Me just get the donut and oftentimes me just eat, like if I say no to donuts, I just eat off the topping. The topping is donut enough for me. And then people say that not make no sense. Me not feel about eat no donuts. Sabrina West is saying Krispy Kreme. Azari Webb, I see you saying Prestige. Yeah? South Coast say Prestige hands down. All right. Yeah. Price Smart. Yeah, somebody said don't sleep on Price Smart donuts as well. Sandra Murray says fried donuts must full of aisle. Yuck. Oh boy, I just don't know. I never get the hype. Iron Lady said me make the best donut in a St. Elizabeth. Me put boiled sugar in the middle of my donut. Right? Iron Lady, big up yourself, an entrepreneur in your own right. Saying that she makes the best donut in St. Elizabeth. Putting boiled sugar in the middle of the donut. That must slap. Let me see if I can get in a few more. Baby Toy says, how you think donut prepare? I don't know. Me don't know. Bake? I don't know. I don't know. 100 said, check out Donut Desires Gourmet. Gourmet donuts. Yeah? Okay. I see you. All right, Iron Lady, big up yourself. So if you know in St. Elizabeth, Iron Ladies in St. Elizabeth making donuts. Juliet Sanchez says neither of them. They're too unhealthy. Yeah. Baby Toy says honey bun for my money. Pirates and wenches saying they're all fried. Okay. News to me. You see, I don't fancy donuts, you know. I don't fancy donuts. So, I never really take them in to see how they make our you know, and I just never tried them, never liked them. Let me see if I can get in a few more. Pirates is saying Prestige to the world. And by far, it seems as though Prestige has taken the lead. So, hands down, I would say, based on the public opinion, Prestige makes the best donuts. Yeah? Desnema tell me say, yeah, them fried. Of course. All right. I see you. Thank you guys for enlightening my darkness. Thank you guys so much for participating in public opinion this evening. All the best. It's a Friday. Do stay tuned. Up next, the business report.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:33. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. The Public Procurement Commission, PPC, has announced the appointment of Milverton Reynolds as the new chairman of the commission effective July 5, 2024. Now, in a release, the PPC says Mr. Reynolds brings a wealth of experience and a distinguished career in public service to the role. Now, PPC says Mr. Reynolds has a strong background in finance and governance and is well positioned to lead the Commission in advancing its mission of ensuring transparency, fairness, and efficiency in public procurement processes. Now, as chairman, Mr. Reynolds will oversee the activities of the Public Procurement Commission and guide its strategic direction. Further afield, job growth in the U.S. was weaker than expected last month, raising concern that the world's largest economy is starting to stumble under the weight of higher interest rates. The Labor Department says employers added 142,000 jobs in August, less than the roughly 160,000 that was forecast. It also said job gains in the previous 2 months were lower than initially estimated. However, the unemployment rate fell back, dropping to 4.2% from 4.3% in July. The report is one of the most important gauges of the U.S. economy and comes at a critical time as voters weigh presidential candidates for the November election and the U.S. Central Bank debates its first cut to interest rates in 4 years. Leonid Radvinsky, the owner of OnlyFans, paid himself $631 million over a period of almost 2 years as traffic on online platform continued to increase. Phoenix International, which owns the site used by sex workers, musicians, and celebrities, said its pre-tax profits were $658 million in the year to November 2023. Almost 1 million new content creators and more than 50 million new fans signed up to the platform during the year, an increase of 29%, the company said. The latest results come as OnlyFans is being investigated over whether it's doing enough to prevent children accessing pornography through its site. And finally, in the currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost 158 Jamaican dollars and 37 cents to buy $1, 209 Jamaican dollars and 20 cents to buy £1 British pound, and 118 Jamaican dollars and 85 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Robianne Williams. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend.
Does your bra ride up your back? Do your shoulders hurt from carrying the weight of your breasts? These are signs of an ill-fitting bra. When was the last time you were fitted by a bra fit specialist? The bra experts at LaBelle Femme will take care of you. Drop into the store at 53 Lady Musgrave Road, Tuesdays to Saturdays from 10 to 5, and you will see the difference. Or call 876-622-6091.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
It's the weekend and the youth are taking over the airwaves. Yes, we are the new voices and faces of the Talk Up You radio show. The voice of the Jamaican youth right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
After a busy week of work and school, come unwind with Jamaica's #1 youth radio show.
We're bringing you entertainment, fun facts, and staying true to youth development and advocacy.
Catch the action each and every Saturday as we roll out buzzy segments. What say you?
Youth for chat,
life skills,
global connect, and bust the youth.
That's the Talk Up Youth radio show, Saturdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. Talk Up Youth, Miss Effie.
Talk Up Youth. Don't miss it.
Come into the parlor. There's a welcome there for you.
Welcome to the Mayor's Parlor with Desmond McKenzie.
From 1 to 6 p.m. every Sunday, you'll now get more of your favorite vintage music.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Nationwide 90 FM will transform your Sunday into a musical time machine that will take you way back.
Come on, let's go back in time.
This magic moment.
Journey into yesteryear with Desmond McKenzie in the Mayor's Parlor.
I've got the music to jog your memory and make you smile.
Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the best in vintage music.
Come into the Mayor's Parlor every Sunday between 1 and 6 p.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Nation's Business is brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
It's 6:39 and it's time for the Nation's Business. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis. The Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, the IACHR, is expressing concern for what it calls the declining integrity of press freedom in Jamaica. In its 2023 annual report, the Commission cites numerous incidents of attacks on journalists and inflammatory political rhetoric as areas of particular concern. Dana Davey has been reading the report.
The IACHR notes in its report the decline of Jamaica in the World Press Freedom Ranking of Reporters Without Borders. According to this organization, the country dropped 20 positions between 2022 and 2023 from 12th to 32nd due to a worsening in the safety and integrity of journalists in the country. The IACHR highlights that in November 2022, a Television Jamaica cameraman and a Jamaica Gleaner reporter were reportedly victims of a physical attack while covering a teacher's protest in Spanish Town. According to available information, a man allegedly interrupted the coverage of a teacher's strike at an elementary school, hitting the TVJ cameraman, pulling the cable off his microphone, and attempting to destroy his camera. Further, in May 2023, the IACHR took note of a verbal attack to which a journalist was allegedly subjected at the People's National Party headquarters. It says, according to available information, a member of the party reportedly threatened to rape a Radio Jamaica reporter while she was covering a protest against the party's decision on its choice of standard bearer for Southeast St. Catherine. In addition, both organizations reported that the party's Deputy General Secretary criticized the journalists present for wearing the colored clothing of political opponents and demanded that they leave the premises to prevent them from questioning the PNP Vice President. Later in September that year, the IACHR says it was informed of a shooting at the headquarters of Nationwide News in Kingston. According to the information reported by the media, a gunman on a motorcycle shot at its headquarters located on Bradley Avenue in the afternoon hours. It says preliminary investigations indicate that at least 4 bullets were fired, shattering the windows of a vehicle near the radio station's building. The IACHR says the armed attack on Nationwide Radio reportedly came days after the PNP's General Secretary referred to the radio station as an, quote, incubator for the Jamaica Labour Party, end quote. The IACHR says states should adopt special protection measures for individuals who who are likely to be persecuted for their statements in environments where this problem is recurrent. Similarly, protection measures for journalists and media workers should include a gender perspective that takes into account both the particular forms of violence suffered by women and the specific ways in which protection measures that may be necessary or appropriate for women journalists are implemented. It's also insisting that political leaders and public officials should not intentionally make false statements that attack the integrity of journalists, media workers, or human rights defenders. In this regard, it says public officials should take care to ensure that their comments are accurate, avoid stigmatizing and discrediting the media by resorting to labels that refer to so-called fake news or other labels that discredit the media. It further says public officials should not threaten journalists or undermine respect for the independence of the media. Dana Davey for Nationwide at 5.
Thank you, Dana. Well, to discuss the IACHR report further, we have with us President of the Press Association of Jamaica, that's Milton Walker, and Chairperson of the Media Association of Jamaica, Claire Grant. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Milton, are you there? Oh, we don't seem to have Milton.
I'm sorry, I am.
Oh, there you are, Milton.
I am.
Good evening to both of you. Let me start with you, Madam Grant. What is your reaction to this report from the IACHR raising some concern about what they say as the declining integrity of press freedom in Jamaica?
Well, I know when the World Press Freedom reports have come out over the past couple of years, we have been expressing concerns about this. So, I mean, this report here, in summarizing the drop in our press freedom ranking over the period, it's accurate. I mean, we're here. We are aware of what is happening in the industry. And to see it positioned in this way kind of really gets you aware of just how important it is for us not to think that this is something that is a flash in the pan moment. It actually is something that we have to understand could be representing a general change in the cultural appreciation of the purpose of media, and it's something that we have to take very seriously.
And Milton Walker, from the PAJ standpoint, are you concerned about this significant dip?
Of course we are, but the interesting thing is the ICHR has zeroed in on all of these incidents which occurred last year, which were very worrisome, and they've listed them in great detail because they were all reported on with some significant amounts of detail. What I found interesting was that Reporters Without Borders World Press Freedom Ranking did not. I thought it would have triggered a slip in our ranking, but we improved from the 32 position that we were with last year to when this year's report was published by Reporters Without Borders in May. But whatever, that aside, the incidents and the issues which arise from the report are all very troubling. They're disturbing. They are intimidatory. They have made many, if not all journalists very uncomfortable, terrified from the shooting incident at Nationwide, the attack on our cameraman in St. Catherine in November 2022 in Homestead, and the attempt by the same thug to grab the mobile phone by the Gleaner reporter who was using it to record stuff for the newspaper. And there are many other issues. The important thing is that these attacks a lot of them are mostly non-state actors, and a lot of people tend to believe that press freedom can only be trampled on or threatened by the state, and that isn't the case. We've seen in other countries where gangs, drug cartels, and powerful forces have intimidated and murdered journalists. So that is an important point to note, but it is very, very worrying. But I think that ICR is they're spot on with their report.
And Milton, I note in the report they asked a very specific thing about approaching this from a gendered perspective in terms of specifically female journalists. I mean, I was there during that incident up at PNP headquarters.
Yes.
I didn't hear the comment until it was played back to me later, and I mean, to this date, I'm not sure if it was a member of the People's National Party or just somebody who was there at the compound, but I recall the comment being directed at the female journalist, or reportedly directed at the female journalist. I believe there was some suggestion that it may have been directed to another member of the People's National Party there. But
well, what the PNP had said to us, because we had several meetings with them, and of course I remember we had a discussion on our current affairs programs, including on television, because we were very, very concerned about it. And they had said when they completed their investigation was a female member from St. Catharines South. I don't remember the exact constituency, because those are the persons who were there protesting that night, had said something to a male member from the constituency who had been at the party headquarters, because they're all apparently PNP people, and he said to her, "We'll rape you in jest." That's what they said. Of course, we all heard the recording, and we heard the comment. It's a little difficult because I don't think you yourself said you didn't hear the comment, and neither did the female Radio Jamaica reporter hear it as well. That aside, though, which is what I think the broader point about female journalists operating within this space, Jamaica.
Yeah, is it a matter that we don't take seriously enough?
No. It's certainly from my newsroom, we take it very, very seriously. We have, I think, far more female reporters in the industry than at any time that I've been in the industry. And we are operating in a very violent space where people are doing all sorts of horrible things to other human beings. And journalists are operating in that space. So I think there is a threat. There are certain places that I advise my female reporters not to go, and we've had examples globally where I remember the female CBS reporter was covering the Arab Spring demonstration in Tahrir Square in Cairo, and she was working there covering this demonstration, and she was attacked by thugs and raped. So there are lots of cases globally. There's a female reporter in Malta who had been an investigative reporter, and she was killed. She was a bomb was placed in her car, and it killed her. I don't know if they've made some arrests in the Maltese case, but I don't know if they've caught all the persons who are deemed to have been involved. So it is a problem to our profession, and in Jamaica, where violent crime is a major problem, we all have to be very, very, very concerned.
And go ahead, Sanjay.
And Dr. Grant, in that same release from the IHCR, they indicated that states should adopt special protection measures for individuals who are likely to be persecuted. From your standpoint, how do you see those measures be fashioned by the government and be instituted?
Well, as I've said, and I was listening intently to where Milton was going, I'm going back. We're having a cultural change in the respect for the institution of media. So there is something that's not in this report. I guess it's this year that it happened, when we would have had a journalist who did a story and was basically attacked in the cyberspace. And this report does talk about digital bullying and what is happening in that space. Very serious attack, very serious threats. My overarching concern is where the society is as far as it appreciates the value of media, the value of the people who are ferreting out information that is important for all of us to know and understand, and the extent to which, if it isn't appreciated, the significance of what journalists do, whether they're female, whether they're male, whether they're reporting about the government, whether they're reporting about a political party, that's where I am worried, and that's why I'm talking about a cultural shift, and it's one that we need to be very focused on. I think media probably does have some work to do in making people understand their role and why it is important. And yes, to be looking to legislation to not just protect in thought, but actual action, right? So it's really very important that when these things happen, that the necessary authorities step in and hold people accountable so that others can understand it's not okay. It's not okay to grab somebody's camera when they're doing work. It's not okay to push them aside. And it is not okay to jump online and threaten to do all manner of things to someone because they reported a story that you were uncomfortable with. A lot of it has to do with moving past just the talk and actually the action that supports the work that is done by the media.
And Ms. Grant, and I'd like to hear you afterwards, Milton, on this same issue. The report points to this attempt by political actors, I can't get around it, so trying to align certain media houses to certain political entities in either an attempt to discredit or incite against them. And I know in one instance, and I can't avoid it, when Mark Golding, speaking to the Gleaner, said that he defended Dayton Campbell's comments suggesting that Nationwide News was an incubator for the JLP on the basis that that was what they perceived to be the truth, and that Dr. Campbell had a right to suggest that if that is what they are perceiving. Is that the case? Should political actors essentially have the ability and right to label media entities or journalists specifically in a certain light that could incite or attempt to discredit them?
Well, as you know, the Press Association was very strong and strident in our condemnation of Dr. Campbell's remarks when they were made on that political platform. And our position on that matter has not changed. We stand by those comments that we made in that statement condemning the remarks by the PNP General Secretary. I believe it's dangerous for any politician, and certainly a senior politician in the form of the General Secretary of one of the two major political parties, somebody who, in all likelihood, if the PNP wins the general election, would be a cabinet member, senior cabinet member. That is something which is troubling for our organization, and it remains. It certainly was troubling when he made, and it remains so.
And Ms. Grant?
Certainly, our organization is very much aligned with anything at all that can create these biases that foster hostility towards any institution just because it seems as if it's an appropriate thing to say as you're trying to gather support. It's not acceptable. I do think that certainly what has happened in the last 15 years is as a result of what we have as a far more dynamic and diverse space in terms of how people can be heard. At some level, we're hearing a lot more of the stuff that is being said for or against different media houses by different politicians. I think it was always there. It's just that you probably never used to hear it as much. But certainly, I think that they talk about having responsibility when you have power. And I think a lot of people take for granted their ability to cause harm when they speak on things. I don't think we think that it's just words and it's not going to make a difference. It does make a difference, and it is unreasonable for any entity to be labeled in that way, certainly in the way that it was done. And at the time, and still now, we do hold firm to say it's important for us to call it out when it happens. It's important for us to make the case. Sometimes they're going to stand behind it, but we must call it out and we must say, that's not appropriate.
Mm-hmm. And Milton, going forward, what are some of the things you think that we have to do, both as media practitioners, those in the general public, and also as government, to improve our press freedom ranking?
Well, one, journalists need to continue to do their work in terms of probing, going in depth, uncovering the malfeasance, the inappropriate conduct, the inappropriate use of public funds, and people who are essentially in public office abusing those offices and abusing the power that comes with the particular office. We need to keep the fire on them. The other thing is, I think journalists need to do more probing work using the Access to Information Law. It's there precisely as a tool to strengthen and enhance democracy. And sadly, it's not being used a lot by our journalists, and that needs to change. And it's really pretty simple. And, it's not about, just trying to uncover something that's perhaps going to make the government look bad. It's just doing some research to try and get information and data, which could also help you to do a story, to help you better illustrate a story. So there needs to be a lot more of that from our journalists. Journalists need to develop sources, and that's been an issue which has fallen off in recent years. When I came into the profession, you literally couldn't survive without sources. And it's now journalists need to work on that. The older journalists who are in the profession, and even some of those who have retired, need to help mentor younger journalists. As I keep saying, investigative journalism can't be done by someone just out of college. That takes some experience, and so they need to be guided. The society also needs to understand and appreciate the role of the press journalists, that the part that we play in our democracy, and that it's a very, very essential part of our governance process. There's no democracy that is a true democracy without a free press. It just doesn't exist without a free press. And so the public needs to understand that and support the media. The government, and I dare say the opposition, since they're always a government in waiting, need to understand and appreciate the role that journalists have in the society, because it works both ways. When the government is in power, no government likes media criticism or media uncovering stuff. That's a given. But remember, they're always going to be in opposition, and they need to appreciate that the media will always be there to uncover stuff, whichever party is in power. So, and the government, there are things that they can do to strengthen our hand in terms of how we go about doing our work. The Access to Information Law is due for revision. We're past the 20-year mark. They're in some other countries, the governments have taken steps to support investigative journalism. And I know certainly the Irish government did so a couple of years ago. In Australia, they've worked to pass a law which essentially tax the big tech firms who are gobbling up a lot of advertising that would normally have or traditionally have gone to media, and have used that to help support media, because big tech isn't interested in our democracy. Big tech is here to gather as much money and revenue from our societies and gone about their business. Most don't even have a presence in societies like ours, right? So the governments need to understand and appreciate that as well.
Claire Grant, same question to you from where you sit at the executive level of a media organization. What more should we do to improve press freedom here going into the future?
Well, certainly in the area, and I'm not going to repeat a lot of the things that that Milton has spoken about, obviously, as in terms of time. But legislation is clearly one of the areas where we need to continue to push the envelope on what is required, especially in this evolving space, to allow to keep us safe and also allow us to do our jobs. I also think that last point that Milton has spoken about is not a minor issue. The economics of what keeps media alive is real. It's under threat, and it's under threat in a way that is undermining the very foundations of our society. And that is something that we have to address. We must address it with speed. We know what has been done in Australia, and the whole issue about tackling this abuse of our content by big tech is something that we have to get governments on board with, because it is something that is undermining the very foundation of our societies. But as far as the craft is concerned, I think there's a lot that has to be done. We can do better. We must do better. The whole idea of the Access for Information Act, I keep telling people, it's not an act for journalists. It's an act for people, the people of Jamaica. And therefore, I'm not sure if it's because journalists tend to use it a lot, why other people don't think that they should. But where that act will begin to become effective and really powerful is when the average person looks at something that's affecting them in their world, and they pick up the phone and get the forms and they fill it up and they go and make the case. We will report on that. We will be there with them, because those are the areas that are important for people to understand that you can take an action because this act is there. And we have to empower people. The media has to empower people to know that they have the ability to do things. On the investigative side, I am very worried that media is not leading the story, but they're following the story. It's something that I think the profession in Jamaica needs to come to terms with. We must lead and not be following, because if we are not leading, then at some point people are going to not think that we're relevant. So a lot of work needs to be done by all our media houses, being very deliberate in coming up with the stories that, they're not coming up in your timeline. They're coming up in your timeline after we reported it, I think that's one of the areas that if we get better at that, it will command the attention of everyone to understand how important the profession is and the people who work in the profession to the existence and survival of our democracy.
That is Claire Grant. She's a chairperson for the Media Association of Jamaica. And we also have with us President of the Press Association of Jamaica, Milton Walker. We thank both of you for your time, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. No problem.
Have a good evening. We'll have more after this break.
Nation's Business was brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
It's back to school time again, and KB is making things easy. Shop online, in-store, or via WhatsApp at 876-788-1405 for a chance to win $150,000 cash, a laptop or a tablet. And it doesn't end there. KB is making everything easy. Pick up in-store or shop online today. Promotion runs from July 15th to September 7th, 2024. Easy, that's the KB difference.
Discover something new. Discover the KB difference.
Authorized under Section 50 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
You can have it all. Company events, birthday parties, or the wedding of your dreams. It's all possible at Grand Palladium Hotels and Resorts. We have magnificent event rooms and a dedicated team that will make your event the best experience that only Grand Palladium Hotels and Resorts can offer. Contact us at 876-619-0000 or call your favorite travel agency and ask about our promotion designed especially for you.
Pack it on a budget, so me reach KFC. New crunchy box meal. That for me a piece of chicken, 2 wings, biscuit, and a drink. Crunchy box of the flavor, so we make the lid. Value for your money, flavor and the taste. KFC, crunchy box run the place. So much variety, the box down a space. KFC, crunchy box run the place.
Crunch your craving with the new KFC Crunchy Box. A piece of delicious chicken, 2 hot wings, biscuit, and Pepsi for only $850. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
It's 7:08 and we shift overseas now to Kenya, where parents have been waiting anxiously to find out if their missing children are still alive after a boarding school in central Kenya caught fire. 17 students were confirmed dead by the Ministry of Education on Friday morning. The deputy president says 70 children are still unaccounted for.
It is thought some of these children may have run into the local community to escape the fire, or were picked up by their parents without the school knowing. The blaze took place in the dormitory at the Hillside Academy in one of the counties. The cause is currently unknown. The BBC has more in this report.
At least 17 boys have died after a fire swept through their primary school dormitory in central Kenya. Local officials said the fire broke out at 11 p.m. in a dormitory at Hillside Endarasha Primary School in Nyeri Country, where 156 boys were asleep. Well, more than 2,000 people tried to help rescue the children, many of whom were sheltering under their beds. The cause of the fire is still not clear. President William Ruto called the fire horrific and devastating and has ordered an investigation. I'm joined by our correspondent Anne Soy, who is in Nairobi, and just tell us more details, what more is known on this.
Well, we understand that about 300 children were boarding in that school. It has a population of just over 800. 156 were boys, and they were in that ill-fated dormitory. We are told that that dormitory was made of wood, which could have helped the fire to spread fast. But the area residents responded quickly and tried to save as many as they could. Unfortunately, 17 died from that fire. Another 14 were rushed to hospital. We are told that many of them have now been discharged from hospital. They had minor injuries. The parents and the pupils are undergoing psychosocial support within the school. The Kenya Red Cross says it has set up desks there, and it is providing that service as well as tracing. From the Interior Ministry, we've heard that they have dispatched detectives and forensic analysts to try and establish the cause of the fire.
And obviously devastating news for all the families involved there. How long might it take, is it estimated, the authorities are saying, in terms of investigating what has caused this?
Well, we do not know, but going by previous incidents, these investigations tend to take a long period of time, and sometimes the outcome may not be made public. However, in the past, they have established in many of the incidents in the previous cases, including in 2017, in 2001, there were incidents of arson, so we are waiting. We do not know what the circumstances were in this particular case. The witnesses, we are told, have said that by the time they got to know about this fire, the whole dormitory was engulfed in it, and so they really do not know where it came from.
And sorry, there for us in Nairobi. Thank you very much indeed.
So that is the situation over in Kenya. We hearts and minds out for
Yeah.
those parents and families who are still missing their children. We hope as many as possible are accounted for. 70 children is just concerning. I hope, as the report suggests, that many of these children were simply picked up by their
Yeah.
parents without the school actually knowing, because the possibilities otherwise are quite troubling.
Yeah, it is really sad, Siobhan, and I see also where a national police spokesperson indicated that the bodies that they were able to recover at the scene were burned beyond recognition, and that's extremely, really sad to hear.
Yeah, so as I said, our hearts go out to the Kenyans at this moment in time, and we hope the situation doesn't worsen, and as many of those children as possible can be accounted for. We will now go to the break, listeners, and we come back with your calls. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. It's been a busy week. Anything you'd like to talk with us about? Come chat with us.
Come into the parlor, there's a welcome there for you.
Welcome to the Mayor's Parlor with Desmond McKenzie.
From 1 to 6 p.m. every Sunday, you'll now get more of your favorite vintage music.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Nationwide 90 FM will transform your Sunday into a musical time machine that will take you way back.
Come with me. Let's go back in time.
This magic moment.
Journey into yesteryear with Desmond McKenzie in the Mayor's Parlor.
I've got the music to jog your memory and make you smile.
Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the best in vintage music.
Come into the Mayor's Parlor every Sunday between 1 and 6 p.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
None of mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all the schoolers who are taking beats.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team. Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
It's 7:15, and as I said, we're taking your calls, and the numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. But before we go to our first caller, there is something that has troubled me since yesterday evening when I was here hosting, and I wanted to address it for the listeners specifically because I think some concerns were raised about it by many of the listeners, and I had to agree with them. We have a regular caller that everybody know, I won't name them, but we have a regular caller that came on yesterday, and I believe he was given a little too much leeway to say many things that I have strong objections to. This is not a platform that supports any form of racism or race baiting in order to use as either a political attack or any form of attack. And I believe the caller in question, a regular caller, and as a result of that, I specifically gave him far too much leeway than he deserved to spread a lot of that hateful nonsense. So I am going to apologize for that and own up to that and be more consistent in ensuring that things like that do not go out on the airway. So I just wanted to say that before continuing. Anyways, Richie, you're on the line. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Sanjay.
Hi, Richie. Good evening.
Good evening. Virgin, I'm really happy to hear the press freedom report.
You are?
You're happy?
Happy, of course.
Why?
The journalist was threatened at the PMP headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
She was threatened to a point where she had police to escort out. And they said investigation going on. And the investigation, at the end of it, they said she heard someone over at next corner, thought it was rape. And that's what happened. But until now, I don't hear about who was the investigator. Do you know? You know?
Well, I know the matter was investigated by the People's National Party, and I believe, as Milton pointed out, it would seem that they provided better particulars to the RGR Gleaner group that we here at Nationwide probably were not privy to, because at the time the concern was what was said regarding that RGR Gleaner reporter.
Yes, but until now, I don't get the sense of it, you know. I don't get the sense of it because I'm sick. You see the one where Nationwide was shut up? A lot of people still believe. When I say still believe, it was done by the PMP party as well. We have no proof, you know. But based on what the General Secretary said, it leads people to that belief. Mm-hmm. Listen me now. I would talk against the PMP. I would talk against the JLP because it's that you can also call it the you know. For years, we have been complaining JPS. We born about JPS. Flow, diesel, and he sound, it didn't mean nothing to him. It's like it is by your calling, and it wasn't for the hurricane. Wouldn't you advise until now? I'm saying whether they are PMP or JLP. Wouldn't you advise until now? I'm saying whether they are PMP or JLP. If I have to talk, I will just talk. And whoever vexed, they will just vex because of truth. I'm going to tell you something, brethren. You see, for me, if I do something which is wrong, I would prefer a person to tell me the truth. And you know why? It will help me to change and be a better person. You listen to me now?
I hear you, Richie.
Yeah, we're hearing you.
To change and be a better person. You know, I listened a labor right which called this program some time ago. I'm so often as well. And that man said one time, if my party do something wrong, me not attack. That's hypocrisy. We need to talk about against the two of them if they do wrong, because what we need to do now, just talk to see if we can get a better country.
Yeah.
I
definitely agree with you on that one, Richie. And there's a problem in our country where we're so tribal that if the other side says something, we're quick to respond. But if someone from our party, whichever party that the individual support, says something, we go out to defend. And I agree with you that we probably just need to call a spade a spade. If the party that you support, they say something that is wrong, say it. They're wrong.
Exactly. You see when you guys are brethren, in tell the people that I tell you the truth. And the truth doesn't let you free in the same thing, no? And that's how it's supposed to be done here. But the problem is we're just being hypocritical and we don't want one another just, if a person tells the truth, we're offended by them. Because the truth hurts, you know, brother. You have to be a very honest person by person tell the truth and you know, vex, you know. But the truth is what will help us to change. And I will continue to tell the truth. All right?
Thanks, Richie.
That's good. Thank you, Richie.
Okay. You're good.
Amalo, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Sherman. Good evening, Sanjay.
Good evening, Amalo.
I accept your apology. Standard and principle means a lot.
It does.
Yeah? It means a lot. Standard and principle means a lot. And you got to be firm. You're running a business. Be firm in running your business. Okay, let me go on to what I really called to talk about. The human rights. Tell the human rights that I want to tell the human rights this. I support human rights. But this is a sovereign country. This is a sovereign country. We're going to do what's necessary. As long as Jamaica people don't feel like their rights are being abused. Jamaicans have the right to demonstrate. Jamaicans have institutions that they can reach out to get their rights upheld. We don't need the human rights to be writing things about how we are dealing with crime here in Jamaica. If the human rights want to help us deal with crime, tell the human rights to stand up against the Americans letting their guns flood in our country while we have to be calling the SOEs to deal with these situations. Tell the human rights to worry about America sending 2,000-pound bombs to Israel. The human rights now have no integrity. They always want to look at small country and just because of foreign aid and all these type of things, want to dictate as to how we're supposed to govern our country. Tell the human rights to leave we alone, man. We are fighting a pandemic of criminal activity in our country. And we want to get rid of all of the people and we are dead to save them lives. And we have to take drastic measures sometimes to curtail these actions. What do human rights have to help us to deal with these situations? All we can hear about we're not supposed to do and we're not supposed to go. We haven't seen Jamaica people rise up and said, we don't want this. Democracy is the will of the people. And if the will of the people
is Omalo, don't you think, though, that the position that they have taken is that the IHCHR is urging that these measures, which is the continuous utilization of SOEs, should not be made part of the country's permanent security policy? What's so wrong about that point that they're making?
It is nothing permanent. We have these situations are only called out when we have a flare-up in certain things. If the government don't go around saying that, okay, the country is under SOE today. The government don't just get up and just say, okay, we have peace and niceness going on in Westmoreland or Clarendon. Okay, we want a SOE to suppress these people's rights and stuff like this. It's not that. We don't operate like that. We have a lot of rights in this country. I have a right to be calling you and I could tell you what the government is doing wrong and talk out on the government. We have a right. The people tomorrow can get up and demonstrate tomorrow and the police will be out there protecting them. The people of Jamaica supposed to tell the government what it is. It's the will of the people, not the will of the human rights. Sometimes these people interference cause us to do things that is not in our benefit. They need to get out of our business, man. They need to get out of our business. Let us fight the crime. If they want to get in any other ways or any other thing, tell them to help us fight this crime. Tell them to help us fight this crime, and they will be a partner in telling us what to do. But if they are not telling us how to fight this crime, tell them to stay out of our business. This is a sovereign nation, and we don't need their input because we are not child, and we are not stupid. We are a grown people, and we understand what we want. Them can't tell us what we want. Okay, have a good night.
We hear you. We hear you, Omalo.
We hear you loud and clear.
Right.
Thank you, Omalo.
Before we go to the next caller, I understand that we heard from Fitzbailey yesterday that today is his send-off and he is retiring from the force after 40 years. I understand that the Prime Minister himself made a address at that send-off, which is currently still ongoing, and the Prime Minister in that address did speak to the concerns raised by the IACHR. I was hoping to get an update from our reporter who is there a little later in the program, but until then we press on. I believe, who is our next caller? Faithful, good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening.
Hello, Faithful.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, what you doing? I totally agree with you. I totally agree with the statement you're pertaining race baiting. Because for the life of me, the guy keep doing it every time, and I don't stick it in the value out of it. If I see with this, he did something good. He's hurting himself, hurting him party, hurting everybody. How that help him? Come on, sometimes it hurt me. Anyway, that's a different story. I'm totally agreeing with Omala saying. These people that they never talk about what Jamaica can do to help fight crime. I don't intend. Come on, man. Anyway, I don't need to repeat what I say. I agree with what Omala said. The integrity report, is it sealed or unsealed? Meaning, they're sending to the Speaker of the House, the Deputy Speaker, the President of the Senate. Do they know what is in it, or is it sealed?
As in, do those individuals who receive it understand what's in it? Yes.
They know what's in it?
They would know what's in it once they pick up the packages, yes.
Okay, because we have a concern is this. I believe the Integrity Commission, they know how long the House is out for. They know it's not Tuesday coming. So it's going to be all the way until the 17th. And they know that it is a baiting thing in the sense that as long as it's out there, it's going to be on some form of political platform to say.
But to be fair to the Integrity Commission, Faithful, they did not say what's in the report, We just have information which suggests what's in the report.
But I think but I actually agree with you on this one, Faithful. The timing of the report and the Integrity Commission has to understand that we're in a politically charged environment. And the time that you submit that, all the chatters will be going around until Parliament resumes.
And I can guarantee that it's going to be on some political platform.
Of course.
That's why I sometimes say, whether willingly or unwittingly, it becomes a more political thing. So one can understand why one said that at the political side don't like the Integrity Commission or don't like the work that they are doing, while the other one would praise it. Because they see it as a political football where one uses it for political gain.
Yes.
Gain for their own political purpose. So when I look at that, I see the timing is so wrong. So wrong, and until the House is in set and we know what they need, it's going to be a long political football, which is wrong.
There will be a lot of speculation.
Agreed. And I see Ricardo Bacchus in the chat saying if it's not normal for a report to be tabled at the beginning of the new parliamentary term. The point that I'm making is that the Integrity Commission must ensure that they stay as far out of the political fray as possible.
Exactly.
And the chatters. Exactly. And we have to understand that they can do a little better with the timing.
Exactly.
Parliament is not in session. Why not wait until the week before Parliament resumes to submit the report?
Thank you. Finally, there was a report at the Sancta International Airport that an elderly man was returning to America, and he fell sick and needed an ambulance. And the cost for the ambulance was $400. And whether the doctor or the ambulance served insist that they have to verify the money before they can get the guy to the hospital. And in the process of that, the guy died. It cannot be just money and money over life. That doesn't look good.
That report actually missed me, so I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah, it was all over. I didn't hear that nation, but it was all over all the different news. Mm-hmm. And it is so bad for Jamaica. It is so bad for Jamaica. It just tell us that the doctor they are interested in money. Well, I shouldn't say all of them, not all of them, but some of them. Because if you have to verify for life, if you don't pay the money up front, you're gonna die.
Mm-hmm. But the situation you just described sounds like it's almost against the Hippocratic Oath to me. That doesn't sound like that's in line with the Hippocratic Oath at all, which says do no harm.
No, but I heard Mr. Vaz was commenting on it, So it happened today at Sancta International Airport. When a man come to bury his brother, some relative, and he was returning home and fell ill, and they requested an ambulance. And they said before the ambulance could turn, they have to sign out to say, boy, they're going to get the $400 $400. Without that, the ambulance not going to come. And the guy died. So I'm saying there have to be some form of legislation to say life over anything else. If you are not here to protect life and for the well-being of other person, what is the purpose? It's all about money.
I don't even think that should require legislation. That should just be the default position.
No, but
if you go up to UEHWI or KPH and for us and someone stab you, UHR doesn't go stop me and say, well, you need to pay us some fees before we treat you. No.
But I am telling you, a child of mine, in need of heart space, some heart surgery, and if he doesn't have the money, they're not going to do it. He's going to die. So he's not the first. It's not something that happened all the while. I can't really speak for what I know. I don't say it's everybody, but I know it happened like that. Some doctors, some physicians, I don't care about this money. They don't care if I die or live, Well, I'm not going to say all of them, but I know it happened far too often than it should have happened, which is bad.
That is distress. What you just described, Faithful, is distressing.
And trust me, it's true. I know of that individual, and I heard of other, but I'm going to speak about the one that I know. And but the one at the St. Anthony airport, it was all over the news, so it's nothing new nor rumor. And one lady was bawling and said, "Boy, if she want to pay the money for a taxi to take the guy to the doctor," and they said they have to follow the protocol, and they say you have to pay the money first. When we reach so far, when we so low, that if it's not money, you're gonna die.
I am speechless. I don't know how to respond to that one, because to me that just seems. I'm trying to envision what you have explained to me, Faithful, and it just don't work in my mind, where an ambulance would literally stand by and watch somebody die just for not having money in them pocket.
No, I don't think the ambulance turn up, The ambulance just turn up, but because maybe they didn't stand up for the money instead, the ambulance did not come.
Either way you put it, to me that
right.
I don't even know how that factors into the conversation when a man is in distress. Please send an ambulance. Well, you need to pay us $400 first. To me, no.
So anyway,
after the fact.
Mr. Vaz commented on it this evening, and I read another news station.
But private, or as someone said, these things happen mostly at private hospital. Even a private hospital, if you walk through the door.
No, I didn't enter the airport and the St. Anthony airport.
No, but I'm assuming they called the hospital or called a ambulatory service to pick up the gentleman. So the first question to me should not be on that person's mind is, can you pay us?
But I'm not saying all. I would not be so presumptuous to say all, but. That's how some of these doctors operate now. If the money is not up and then not to clean you, you're going to die. So you better have your money if you're going to die. I know that's how some of them operate, but I would not presume to say all of them. But I know it happened. And I'm sure that me alone know it. A lot more person know it.
Clark Roman is asking me to get the facts, so I'm going to have to do some checks on this story because...
I already answered that news station. Blessed love.
Thank you.
All right.
You're welcome.
I want to address something quickly, Siobhan, that I'm seeing Ricardo Bacchus saying as it relates to that same Integrity Commission report. And I just want to clarify the point. Parliament resumes, Ricardo, on the 17th of September. My take on it is it would have been better for the Integrity Commission to release that report a couple days before Parliament resumes because, one, we're in a politically charged environment. We're a year out of an election. Election is constitutionally due by next year, September. You don't want any political party to be taking reports of this nature, which is so serious, and turn it into a political football. Yeah? Which is why I'm happy that the talks are now that Parliament may resume to table this report so that we can remove any doubt of speculation and discuss what is in that report, which I think is necessary. Yeah, so that's my view, Ricardo, why I say they should have hold off until a couple of days before Parliament resume, just to remove any speculation and to prevent the report from being a political football.
I will say, though, Sanjay, in distant past, we wouldn't have known about the report being sent to the Parliament until it had been tabled. But as you know, a lot of things have happened in the intervening period where the Integrity Commission has changed their policies and how they approach these issues in order to satisfy what they believe is transparency and other concerning issues. So what would normally happen is they would have sent the report, it would have stayed there, nobody would have known it existed until the Parliament came into session and the report was tabled. But
that's correct.
You are right in some respects that they still do have the discretion as to when that report is sent. So they should more usefully practice that discretion, especially in this politically charged period of time.
And that's the point. And I'm seeing Ricardo saying that we should leave the Integrity Commission to do their job. I have no problem with the Integrity Commission doing their job. I really appreciate and value the need for the office of the Integrity Commission. However, we have to understand the environment that we operate in. It's a politically charged environment, and we have to ensure that reports like these are not treated as a political football. That's just a simple point, Ricardo.
And let us be reminded that this matter of the Prime Minister's statutory declarations has been used as quite a potent political weapon over the last 3 years. Anyways, Cleveland, I understand you're on the line. Good evening.
Yes, Mr. Siobhan. I'm Mr. Lewis. I forgot your
Sanjay
Cleveland.
Cleveland.
I'm giving thanks. But it already become a political football, you know, so from long time. Trust me, I lost faith in the IC, Integrity Commission. I don't know nothing they can come and tell me. Even if it's something against the PMP, I can't believe it. It's bad. You can't have put people in this position, and before you know it, the opposition know every Jesus thing because they can say it already.
Yeah.
And tell the nation that it will come, and by that the date was out.
Well, I will say this: I have spoken to Dr. Campbell subsequently, and he swears he did not know the report was going to be tabled today.
Oh, really? You believe in Siobhan? You believe that?
He said that he was just acting on information that was already in the public, that the reports would be coming in due time, but he did not know that the report was going to be tabled.
Information coming from the Integrity Commission. Well, I don't know. I don't have enough sense, but I cannot believe, say, it just say it out of the blue, just like that.
Well, it was not out of the blue. I'm led to understand that Julian Robinson had said similarly 2 weeks ago.
Yes, they know. They're up front with what's going on, and then up to last night they were in Clarendon and preaching the gospel. And Carlin said there must be a case and open parliament. You know?
Well,
it's sad.
Either way, Cleveland, I'm just eager to know what is in that document.
Yeah, man. I want to see what is in that.
And see what the findings are.
It's sad. It's sad, though. It's sad. Listening to you people where the people in overseas will examine what how the press is being how they treat the press here, especially over the last year. And I'm still trying to, listening back to what you said, Dayton Campbell say, and trying to make it look as if when the person says if it was rape, I don't see anything else to believe that it was towards the journalist, because there's no way you could do, because they were trying to avoid the journalist to interview one of the person, right? And we know some of these people when they are in these groups, they will say these things because she's creating trouble.
Well, as I said, Cleveland, I don't understand what the scenario was completely or fully, because, as I said, only R.J. Gleaner and their subsequent meetings with the People's National Party would be able to provide better clarity on this.
They're covering up the whole thing. They're covering it up. If it's the other way around, they would make a note of it. You see? And then I hear you say to Mr. Walker that Mr. Golding did say something like that incubator, the nationwide incubator.
No, I read in a subsequent report after that incident where this question was put to Mark Golding and Mr. Golding defended it.
Yes.
which came as a shock to me that he defended it. He said,
answer the question.
And I know just quite recently the PNP has done it again, where they've quite put out in a press release suggesting that the Nationwide News is aligned to the JLP.
Yeah.
So it is becoming a regular and repeated point of attack.
Out of Nationwide. Because Nationwide dare to give you all the stories, and they don't like that. You know? It's really a pity. And it shows who is the people them who stand up for the press and who don't. Because the press not talk for them language. Trust me.
I see a lot of people on YouTube saying that I'm being naive. People, I can only report what the General Secretary has told me. I cannot tell you
that. They will tell you that, Javan.
Whether I believe what Dr. Campbell says or not is irrelevant. The information I can accurately give you based on facts that I have been given is what Dr. Campbell has said is what he's
believed. That was what said to the journalist. I could have go all over. Because the group that was there at the time, now that's some of the number they not talk about 600 something in at that time there. No go so. But it's just an excuse. And so they know that they feel believe they have favorability with the press. Them talk anything and get away with it. A lot of time them threaten all the leader of the opposition threaten people at meeting, and just take it easy.
What if I relate to your story, and I'm not going to name the politician in question, because what if I told you that I was at a function with members of the People's National Party, and a senior member of that party, simply came up to me and said one day that if that party was back in power, they would try to find any way
to Cliff Playground.
I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to say any more than that. I'm not going to name the politician in question, and I'm not going to say anything. And this was a senior member of the People's National Party, not no follower, not no simple foot soldier.
I believe it. And they get away, right? They get away with these things because, look, I have to get back to the integrity place. There's something wrong with what's happening. We can't have such a place set up to get report on politicians or what have you. And before you know it, one side, look how long the PNP been carrying on this thing. Look how long.
And Juliet Sanchez is asking what was my reply. I moved away from the conversation and I reported it to my boss. That's it. That is what I do.
Let me tell you a little story. Because probably no young one don't know. You didn't know of a man named John Hearn?
Yes.
Then they beat John Hearn to pulse because he dared to write an article against the PNP when in those time in the 70s. He couldn't go back to them meeting. I remember him was part of them parties when the first time journalist was more manly type of people them.
All I will say, Cleveland, I really would not want for us to go back to, those days and that type of politics that exists before.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
I don't want to see it back at all.
Come in. It's going to happen. And if you're not dare to talk the truth, you're not going to be in trouble. Maybe not with just the leaders per se, but them followers.
And I can only speak to my own truth, Cleveland, because I notice a double standard with how Nationwide News is treated by a certain political organization and other media houses are treated. Because what if I then went on to tell you that at that very same PNP function that I went to, a journalist from another media house was greeted quite warmly as "Comrade, how you doing, comrade?"
Yes.
And if I was greeted at any function by anybody, either referring to me as comrade or labourite, I would be aghast and appalled.
Look, if you come out all right, trust me. But
so I have learned in some ways to have a thicker skin, noting that many of these political parties have some horrific double standards.
All the best to both of you. Have a good weekend.
All the best, Cleveland. Thank you.
Errol, good evening.
Bless up, Siobhan. Bless up.
How you doing?
I'm good, you know. But they are listening, you know. You see the integrity. They want to run away. A politics them a play, you know. You know that?
Why you said that?
Yeah, man, them a play politics, but everything, them say, the PFP, give them this, they give them that, and they know, give them just thing, but now them know, election round kind of them just a cover things because they say, and they just a give this. Man.
But Errol, hold on, because you're saying that the Integrity Commission need for runaway, and I'm using your words, which means that you want to see the Integrity Commission go. But don't you think that there is a place for that office, that of the Integrity Commission?
Who did
Errol?
Who did they need to move up, brother? A politics them a play. Politics them a play, brother. Them need to move up who did it. I tell you that. Me no matter, Chevron, me no matter what you say. It's politics a play. Them a give the man them something for run with, brother, in a campaign thing, you know.
I will say this, Errol, because I think everybody is making judgments on information that we don't have yet. We don't know what is in the report. And you could not say or be surprised that if the report could come out and just simply say that the Prime Minister has nothing to answer. Remember, that is entirely plausible, you know.
Yeah, but, Chevron, all the end camera could I hear and come with it before it even mentioned.
I will stay with what I said before yesterday. Errol, Dr. Campbell is very well informed.
Yeah, it leaked. Information leaked to him.
So, Errol, let me ask you a question. If the Integrity Commission, if the report, when tabled in Parliament and it's revealed that the Prime Minister has nothing to answer, as Siobhan alluded to, let's say that's what the report says, would you still hold that same position about the Integrity Commission and that they need to go?
Same way me I said them to go. Long time me I said that. Them to go. Me not give up off of that. Them to go. Chevron.
Yep.
You see, when you say you got a party and you not call name, we don't want you have a call name. Me, Errol can call name. The camera, the man to keep you quiet, you know. you don't have a call name. Dayton Campbell the man, but make him stay there.
I will say this, I can say with certainty that incident I'm referring to, Dr. Campbell was not present at that incident.
Was not present?
Was not.
All right. I give you the doubt and the benefit. But the man never stop a play politics. Next year election, you know. Anything Marky G get to run it and Dayton Campbell, them are running it on the same look Rasta Crawford. You get
but that's the nature of the politics, Errol. Both political parties, they do that. If you have information that can damage the other side, you're going to run with it. It's just the nature of the politics.
You see the last man who run with it? Everything he run with, he run till him carry down the country. You know who that? Who run with it? Tell me.
You're alluding to a famous statement made by former Finance Minister Dr. Omar David.
All right. Everything he run with, he run till he run down the country.
And there's such an interesting story behind that statement in and of itself that also has to do with journalists not doing their job properly, interestingly enough.
So make them go and run with it, man. Them could have fly high, fly low. Man go in nasty, no name election. What am I saying?
You can't say that, no, Errol. Election of a call, you know. Election of a call, eventually.
It's a call, but him can't be no leader. You see how Peter Philip not go on and then push out Porsche and then go round. What I'm telling you, he never sit at the same thing I go reach Marky G. Same thing I come to Marky G. You hear that? Election of a call, of course. It must. But, yo, just give them time. Bless up, you hear, sir?
All right,
Errol. Lady J, evening.
Hi, Siobhan. Good evening.
How are you, ma'am?
Louis. How are you all
Good
doing?
evening. I'm good. How are you?
I am doing great, man. Yes.
Wonderful.
Firstly, when you come to Nationwide to work, you're back off abroad.
No, man,
This
I
is
used to
my
that, man.
station from way back from the incubation stages.
I will have
And
you
I
to know,
can
Lady
tell
J.
you that
But
a
hold on, now,
lot. Huh?
before you even make that point, and many individuals are not aware that I used to work for Nationwide, as a producer for Nationwide at 5 a long time ago before I left.
Long time, yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. I remember the name,
Yes.
I remember the name. But what I'm saying to you, you going out there, especially at those PMP meetings. I remember Emily Cook back then.
Mm-hmm.
She went to the head office. I think it was some kind of election. So she went there on, work. And trust me, them are run her out of the place, So go back, come out, we don't want you here. Abka Fitzhenley back in the day was threatened. I think security was to beef up around Abka Fitzhenley. I remember Elon Parkinson. Yeah? There are some great journalists that come through nationwide, and they survive. You guys have to be fearless and remain truthful. You must survive with those two ingredients, fearfulness and truthfulness. That is what the PNP eats. They eat that bitterly, So then now that's where the enmity between Nationwide and the PNP stands. That's where the battle line is drawn. They don't like to hear the truth. Now, in regards to the Integrity Commission, when I was listening to the interview with Dr. Campbell, trust me, I was frightened out of my wits to hear the thing that he mentioned about the pending report.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, I agree. He has inside information. He has inside information. Remember, the PMP has been flogging this for 15 years, so
But to be fair to him, when Siobhan spoke to him today, he denied having any information.
Oh,
Just want to put it out there.
Those people lie in their DNA, brother.
But we still have to be accurate in our pronouncements. Yeah. Dr. Campbell has denied any such thing.
We heard he spoke in clear English. We understood. We are in the beast. We are in the belly of the beast. We know what Dayton meant. He cannot twist it. He cannot turn it. We know what Dayton meant. And that is why this panel of investigators at the Integrity Commission, I honestly believe they are tainted and they need to remove ASAP. I don't know how it's going to be done. But we, the Jamaican people, have no confidence in them and the work they put out.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like my Prime Minister that I vote for to ensure that those people are investigated. It's time for a thorough investigation of the work of the Integrity Commission. Based on their antecedents and how they operate, they made too many blunders against the government.
But here is something, Lady J.
To step up.
I don't think any organization is above scrutiny, including the Integrity Commission. But then that leaves me with a concern. Which organization in the country would be best suited to, say, for example, audit the Integrity Commission?
Probably not to go overseas. I really don't know. I am throwing my thoughts out there because I have been listening to the great controversy that they have caused in this country. Yes, and against an elected government. My Prime Minister Yes, they have damaged his reputation, and nothing has been done. Not even the apology was sent to him. Nothing has been done, and we did not vote for the Integrity Commission. While we appreciate the work they do, there's no confidence in this panel of people. None whatsoever. None whatsoever. Now, Dayton came 2 days ago and hinted to us, tell us straight in plain, and see, the report is out. Now, I believe Sunday coming is their, what do you call when they go to the arena?
Is that this Sunday or
The
next
annual,
Sunday?
next week, the annual conference next week.
The conference, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
When they get on that podium Sunday, what a burger doors us both and how sort of story going to carry on? Huh?
Well, if I am to believe, if I understand our reporting, the Parliament will convene the Tuesday, and early convening of the Parliament will happen on Tuesday to address this matter of the report. So it will be out in the public before the People's National Party's annual conference.
Oh, so it's not Sunday coming?
No, that's not this Sunday.
No, it's
coming.
next week. Next week.
Oh, next week. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay. And I want Sir Andrew to do the right thing. You see, because we have no trust in this panel of people that is there. And a thorough investigation needs to be done in that entity. Because they make too much blunder against an elected government. The people of Jamaica elect this government, and it's as if they just go on as if they are the one elected. They were selected, right? But they are behaving all powerful and almighty.
But
And
do
they
you
were
agree? But do you agree though that there's a room for the Integrity Commission? There's a space for them in our landscape.
Mr. Lewis, I am for it.
Okay.
But with this kind of blundering all along against the government, yeah, you're going to have a member going to say, go ask the government when the incident took place with the robbery. You go.
Yeah, that's definitely wrong. That was a very unfortunate statement.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And all those things, and the tweeting, and today nothing come out of those learned.
You'll note, Lady J, that subsequent to that incident, Mr. Christie has been silent and he has restricted his tweets, so to speak, to matters only concerning the Integrity Commission and its work. So clearly they have learned some lessons from that incident.
No, but when you damage the Prime Minister of a country, brother, he should have that due diligence.
Yeah, sorry, Lady J. Sorry, ma'am, but I'm getting the wrap up consistently, so we have to drop you there. So, YouTubers, listeners in Radioland, thank you for your time. It has been an honor and a privilege, as always, to serve you on this program, Nationwide at 5. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Louis. Special thanks to our producer, our tech op, and those in studio for today or our newsroom. And to you, our listeners, have yourselves a wonderful weekend, and I'll catch you next week.
Come into the parlor. There